Luka Doncic had 28 points and 12 rebounds for Dallas. Kyrie Irving, 15 points. Boston wins the series 4-1 and finishes 16-3 this postseason. They win their record 18th NBA title. That's the most by a franchise in NBA history. One more now than the Lakers franchise. Game 5 of the NHL Stanley Cup Final tonight in Sunrise, Florida. The Panthers are going to close it out against the Oilers. Florida with a 3-1 series lead. If they win tonight, they'll have the first Stanley Cup title in franchise history. In baseball, the Phillies down the Padres 9-2. Kyle Schwarber coming with a 2-1 homers for Philadelphia. They're now 48-24, best record in the National League. I'm Eddie Garcia.
Previously on the crossover.
I opened up my fortune cookie last night, and on the front it says, here you can download a bunch of music, and on the back there's a QR code for Napster. Yeah. Fortune cookies used to be fun, whimsical. At the end of your chicken fried rice, you're like, boop, 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 boop. That's exactly what I was. I don't think we ever got fortune cookies.
Even worse, mornings with Sharp and Handley, the Connor Hopper Show, unsportsmanlike conduct, 6 a to 6 p, 1620, The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Funplex Water Park and Rides from the KTV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Tuesday is a severe weather day with potential strong to severe storms impacting the metro mainly after 5 p.m. Large potential wind gusts are the main threats with these stronger storms. Flash flooding potential as well as heavy rain will stick around into the nighttime hours. Otherwise, expect a warm, humid, and windy day. South winds gusting up to 35 miles per hour with highs around 90. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KTV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roof, anytime saving traffic center. Good morning. It's quiet Tuesday morning in the Omaha Metro with no accidents or delays to report. Just your usual closures on 12 between Cass and Mike Fahey between 10th and 13th. All due to the College World Series. First pitch is at 1 p.m. today. Traffic is smooth sailing at the moment. I'll keep you updated about the rest of the morning when traffic starts picking up. Be sure to buckle up, drive safe out there. Joey Court.
This time, saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
Someone just won a beautiful new red truck named Trucks and Bucks 2024. So there are only 6 trucks left out there. Get yourself to a Nebraska Lottery retailer, buy a ticket, and play today. Top prize odds 1 in 336,000.
I'm Dave Austin, not Ryan Austin. Every golfer will get value from being custom fit. The truth is, the higher handicappers will get more value from being custom fit than the low handicappers. It's changed so much since my dad started the business in 1963. We now have hundreds of thousands of dollars of technology. We know exactly what the spin rate is, what the launch angle is. We encourage you to bring the current clubs in now, and we can compare it. And guys walk out of the store knowing that the purchase they just made is going to give them 20 more yards out of $10. Right, Evan? Have fun and shop this.
I'm Omar Reese with NFL Network now on the Western One Radio Network. HBO's Hard Knocks entering new territory in 2024 with plans to document an entire division's regular season journey. For the first time ever, HBO and NFL post following all 4 teams in the AFC North for their annual Hard Knock in-season series. Last year, the AFC North became the first division in the Super Bowl era to have all 4 teams finish with a winning record. Meantime, Steelers veteran defensive tackle Cameron Hayward recently sharing a message with the Pittsburgh faithful, saying the goal is to be a Steeler for the rest of my career. The 35-year-old is seeking a new contract, and he's set to earn $16 million in 2024, which is the final year of his current 4-year deal. And Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins is officially signing his franchise tag Monday and is due to make roughly $21.8 million under the 1-year deal in 24. NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reports the 2 sides agreeing to a long-term extension by July 15th is unlikely. This has been NFL Network now on the Western One Radio Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes and homes for our troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Comes with a job well done. But when you get tools from Harbor Freight, something about the job feels a little different. Your wallet. Because we believe that everyone deserves hardworking tools and hardworking prices. And that's what we have here. So, whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
At Athletico Physical Therapy, our favorite patients are the impatient ones, the ones who don't want to wait 3 months to get a specialist, or wait until a little pain becomes a big one, the ones who know that Athletico's therapists can help them take the recovery into their own hands. Our favorite patients are ones who just can't and won't wait because they don't have to. So get a little impatient and start with physical therapy at Athletico. With no prescription needed in most states to get started, you'll be right back at it in no time. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol. When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Progressive presents good news, bad news, dumb news, then great news. Good news. A letter in your mailbox says you could save money bundling your home and auto insurance with Progressive. Bad news. You saw it after your teenager backed the car into the mailbox. Dumb news. A new mailbox, basically a box on a stick, costs up to $400. Great news. You decide to see if you could save money bundling at Progressive.com and go with paperless mail instead. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
If you need bold banners to boost your business, but you're on a budget, think Staples. Because now at Staples, you can save up to $50 on your print purchase. From posters and flyers to signs and menus, Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward. And with Staples Print Perfect Guarantee, it's done right or it's printed again free. Plus, same-day service is available on hundreds of items if you order by noon. Get it printed right at Staples. And now get up to $50 off your print purchase. And 76, visit staples.com/print for details.
Join the Omaha Storm Chasers and celebrate the city we all love. Come to Werner Park for one of our community celebration nights, presented by PayPal. We'll highlight nonprofits from around our great community, along with food and drink specials, giveaways, and fundraisers. The team will also be wearing special Omaha-inspired jerseys. Tickets are available at omahastormchasers.com. That's omahastormchasers.com.
Omaha Storm Chasers family. Everyone get on your feet, stir up the storm with family.
Many people go back to the dealership out of habit or because they think the dealer is the only one who knows how to fix their car. At Omaha Car Care, we offer a better option. We have ASE certified technicians, the technology to service any vehicle, and free loaner cars. The dealer will sell you a package of services. We'll provide the service you want for your car as your trusted partner. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
1620 The Zone.
With 1:49 to go in the third. Everybody on their feet in the Garden. Too nervous to sit. Jalen from 19. Switch. It's back to 21, exactly where we were at halftime. But it's no longer what could be or what might be. Now it just is. The 2024 Boston Celtics are one of the greatest teams in NBA history. They were told they had to win. There's only one thing you can do when expectations are that high. Meet them. And there's only one way to stop being haunted by the ghosts and the legends and the champions atop this building. Join them. Together they have, and together they stand alone on top of the mountain for now. And once again, the Boston Celtics stand alone for all time. It is banner 18. The mission demanded is mission accomplished.
People have said it before, but coming up short and having failures makes this moment that much better. Because you know what it feels like to lose. You know what it feels like to be on the other side of this and be in a locker room and hearing the other team celebrate and having them celebrate on your home floor. Like, that was devastating. And now to elevate yourself in a space that, all your favorite players are in. Right? Everybody that they consider greats or legends have won a championship. And all the guys I looked up to won a championship, multiple championships. So now I can like walk in those rooms and be a part of that.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
That's right. Start those engines. Good Tuesday morning. It is Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Nick and Jimmy in studio. Gary in the 60th in Dodge studio. We have one of those, by the way. It is another College World Series day. You heard from not the Finals MVP just there, Jason Tatum, but a Boston Celtics coronation, 18 as an organization. Step back LA Lakers. And yes, maybe the missing piece there, Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum. Just feel good for him. Marcus Smart, by the way, if you were seeing a lot of the thoughts and prayers yesterday, he still is with us. Just a lot of thoughts that went out to Marcus Smart yesterday. Good morning, everybody. Gary, hopefully it was a recharged day away from the series. I don't know. Were you there just as a fan, perhaps?
I was playing the social role.
Okay. You
Yes.
got it. Yeah, there's Gary Sharp, the professional. Then there's Gary Sharp, the social director,
Enjoy a
the
baseball
man of the people.
I hope people got a lot of sleep, and they can thank the NBA Finals for giving them a nice night of sleep. Now, if you're a Celtics fan, I get it. You have 18 banners, but it was a snooze fest. But the call is pretty good. The radio call is pretty good. Breen had a rough night last night, and they got to do something with that broadcast because it's impacting one of the great voices of all time. The whole thing. The NBA has had a bad couple of months outside two series. It just was a snooze fest. And unfortunately, Boston will be, well, unfortunately or not, Boston will be dragged into this because Boston was a dominant team all season long. But there is no part of the NBA Finals that really is memorable. Like the casual fan can go, man, that moment, they'll be talking about that forever. No, what they're going to talk about the NBA playoffs this year is the Knicks and the Sixers was a good series. The Nuggets and the Timberwolves was a good series. The rest was a snooze fest. It's been a bad couple of months for the NBA. And I'm sure the TV and the TV ratings will show it. But kudos to Boston. They were wire to wire. They were the best at the beginning. They were the best at the end. And it was just that was a bad game last night.
Oh, there was a loose ball that almost took out the broadcast last night.
Here,
so I mean, that was there was almost some hope there. And look, not memorable moments. Come on, let's get a Peyton Pritchard heave god. Come on, not 1 or 2. Come on, the heave god.
Yeah, it's not as good as the one he had at Oregon, but it wasn't bad. And Breen had that in the holster. He was waiting for that. He saw that Pritchard got the ball at the end of the first half, and he was like,
Yep. He was lighting up.
He actually should have just taken the headset off and politely walked off. Like, I'm done.
There was something being discussed about, because I feel like we've had a conversation when it comes to having adults in the room, when it comes to the beloved football program here in the great state of Nebraska. There was a conversation being had about the Celtics, the Drew Holiday, and I bring up the Marcus Smart thing because, again, last night after the game, you saw a lot of people thinking, gosh, wish Marcus Smart was there. Wonder how he's feeling.
Why is this that trade? Why do you keep bringing him up?
Because Marcus Smart was trending last night, and he was trending because everybody was so bummed that he wasn't part of that, and I get that because he was the big heart and soul of that construction of a championship team. But it was Drew Holiday that, as people were labeling him, and I heard Jackie McMullen talking about this, Boston journalist legend, of referring to him as the adult in the room for that Celtics team. And when you think about the game last night, and I'm not going to pretend that I could tell you everything he was doing from game one to the last game of the regular season of that label, but there was an energy with Jason Tatum, but just a lot of the 50-50s, going after the loose ball, the facilitating, a lot of different things from Drew Holiday.
Yeah, I could buy that. That looks like, as much as you miss Marcus Smart being a part of that for a lot of Boston fans that just, love the way that he kind of brought that presence, that energy every day. And Drew Holiday, that was a difference right there. And it played out in the clinching game last night, the way that he was I think 7 points less this season average than what he has typically averaged, but he took a backseat role to be that guy for this locker room. But I think adult in the room, from what I saw last night, I think that's an appropriate label for Drew Holiday.
Come on. Yeah, the adult in the room, the most adult person in that room is Al Horford, which I'm glad he got a title, and he replaces Karl Malone as guys that have played in the NBA forever and haven't achieved that level. Here's the thing about the Celtics, and I am by no means a Celtics fan, but I can tip my cap because they were good from wire to wire, and there'll be a lot of comparisons to the great Celtics team. They never felt dominant to me because they would go through these lulls, but they have some good credentials. This is how this team was. Hey, Marcus Smart had his chance, and they've had the weapons for a couple of years now. They just have never known how to use them. And that is why Brad Stevens, who I never thought I would say this, is a better general manager than he is a head coach, because Jason Tatum on his own can't carry a team. And because of that, you realize, okay, we got to put some pieces around him. Brad Stevens was fantastic in constructing this roster. Look at the trades that they made. He found pieces that fit, that they all came together, and what they were missing when they lost in the finals to Golden State and came up short the last couple of years, they found it. They all fit together, and they get to hang a banner, and Brad Stevens is a huge part of that. And then another part of this whole thing with the Celtics and Brad Stevens being so integral is Joe Mazzulla, who, it's crazy, Joe Mazzulla and Kyrie Irving were in the same draft class. Joe Mazzulla is on the hot seat because they have all of this talent. They have Brown and Tatum in their prime. They've just committed their future to Tatum and Brown. And what's the missing link? Well, maybe it's the head coach. And Brad Stevens stuck with Joe Mazzulla, and we haven't talked. And and Joe Mazzulla at the beginning of his career was very awkward. Press conferences, he was just different. He wasn't as polished, and he was quiet, and people just crushed him because that's not what a Celtics head coach is supposed to be. Well, his general manager had faith in him, could see up close that he was a good head coach that connected with his roster, that his roster liked playing for him. And it was just a Boston media created, well, the missing piece is the guy that's on the sidelines. He stuck with him. And look, we didn't talk hardly at all about Mazzulla this year. I mean, Boston wire to wire. They were really, really damn good. Where they go 80-21 over the course of the entire season. They lost 3 times in the entire playoffs?
Yeah, which is historically, when it comes to the playoffs, that's one of the most dominant postseasons that you're going to see. So I know that this team isn't going to be thought of historically as one of the best that we've ever seen, but that dominates the playoffs.
This year's championship team.
And that's right. And the other part people are going to look at is their path to the NBA Finals with the injuries with the teams that they played in the playoffs. And hey, that's part of the story. But again, the bottom line is
they're the league's best team this year and a deserving champion.
You won it. And Gary, you brought up Mazzulla, and I remember last year that was a big part of our conversation in the postseason, especially in that Heat series too. Of it just seemed like whether it was awkward at press conferences, but even during timeouts, where he had that deer in the headlights look in some of those bigger moments. Coach. Yeah, well,
he got the job right.
That's
before the season.
That's a good point, but I just remember. You mentioned he wasn't part of the conversation, which was actually a good thing, because I remember last year when we were in the postseason talking about the postseason and talking about the Celtics, and especially in that Heat series, he was a big part of the conversation, and that wasn't necessarily indicative of good things with that Celtics team.
No, especially with losing. And again, you committed to Tatum and Brown, but look you have to be fortunate along the way. Dame became available. Milwaukee had to do something. They got Lillard. The Celtics got Holiday. All the pieces fit together. I mean, they had an impressive run. I don't know that I'm going to put them among the great teams, but they deserve their flowers. I mean, they had a win margin by almost 11 points per game.
Yeah, regular and 8 in the postseason.
There really wasn't a lot of drama. This is what this series came down to. I'm no Brian Windhorst. Okay, I am no male version of Jackie McMullen.
One team had better dudes than the other team, and that's why this series was over in 5, and it was an absolute snooze fest.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm not auditioning to sit next to Mike Breen next year. I'm just telling you some cold hard facts. One team was better equipped than the other team. One team has 5 shooters. The other team does not have that many shooters. And as a result, Boston 1-5. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that was
good morning.
And you hit it hard right there.
Regular Peter Vesey.
That cuts to the core right there, my friend.
Who had the line on Twitter last night.
Good on the Olds reference of a Peter Vesey. Especially on the heels. Especially on the heels of the NBA coming back to NBC.
Yes.
Because Peter Vesey was always on the pregame show.
Always damn good, too.
Boys, we're doing that one thing that we hate doing this time of the year, and that is watching a lot of forecasts. Because we do have college baseball today. We're hoping to get both in. That is the plan. You've got another elimination game as another team went home yesterday. That was NC State. Not the most exciting game last night, although it moved well up until the 7th. You had a no-hitter going into the 7th, and really Kentucky's Mason Moore wasn't that bad either, but Texas A&M gets the better of Kentucky. So A&M and Tennessee have now emerged into the driver's seat out of their respective brackets, but tonight today, I should say, you get Florida State, UNC. That's at 1:00, and then tonight it is Kentucky and Florida. And, you could be getting a lot of forecast watching because this is the issue that we're running into. Not only tonight, it's supposed to start, according to forecasters, where there's not a lot of break right after 4. But tomorrow doesn't look great in the morning, and we're starting to run up against the final couple of days. Now, as we continue to lose teams, maybe there's a little bit more wiggle room, but that, unfortunately, is going to be part of the College World Series story today. When we get the action going. But it looks like the 1:00 game. Yeah, and Gary, I don't know if you've been outside. It's already like 30, 40 mile an hour winds, which is always pleasant. It's 6 in the morning.
It's a nice morning.
It's very windy outside already.
Like sitting at the beach.
30 to 40 mile an hour winds. Wait a minute. I'm looking at my tree in my yard.
Peaceful. Well,
other than it's got these birds in it still.
Yeah, it was gusting pretty good when I left this morning.
You can still throw the ball today.
Maybe
I do. I have looked at the forecast for today. Today could be kind of tricky because you're right. There's no window.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
You called it a year ago.
Well, last year,
paying for our sins of the past.
Yeah. Maybe that will, if we have a delay or we have to move some things around the schedule. It will help with the discussion that has picked up, and this isn't new, about if you're in bracket 2 and you happen to lose and you're playing in the losers bracket, and so every day becomes save your season type game. That you're kind of screwed because of the schedule. Like bracket 1 is the way to go.
Yeah.
If you can get put on a super that starts on a Friday, so that you'll go on a Friday in Omaha, and if by chance you lose and you get some days off out of the losers bracket, that's the way to go. Because look at last night, Kentucky loses to Texas A&M. They got to turn around and play today, and then they have to turn around and play again on Wednesday, and then they have to turn around and play again on Thursday. It just shows you if you start 2-0, and I know all the analytics show you that that's the way to go, but especially with the way the schedule is set up, you start 2-0. Man, you're cooking with some peanut oil to get to the championship. It doesn't mean you're going to go 3-0, but you're in a much better spot with your pitching because of the days off that are built in. So I don't know. I'm hoping that we find ways to play today. But yeah, when all of the weather forecasters are saying the same thing, that there will not be a window and it will be severe, and I just hope we don't wait around. That's all I ask. I hope they don't make the fans wait around. They make a decision. We have a schedule change. This is where it is going forward. But I don't know. I'm going to be optimistic today.
Let's do it. I think we should be. We got to try to at least.
I'll be in the middle. You win today.
I will be. I will be waiting with the weather, as you will too, Gary. And I'm hopeful, but if memory serves, they like to see how things are actually playing out. They don't like to go with what the forecast might tell you. Like, well, let's see. And then once it starts, well, okay, it started. Now, is there a chance that it could break up? Could we get a window in, even though everyone's saying there won't be? So paint me skeptical on that one. But
all right, well,
Fine. There's going to be baseball today. It's going to be a beautiful day.
Hey, let's just get the afternoon one in, uninterrupted. If we can do that, then we'll
not mess with fans' opportunity to watch Jack Caglione. Might be his last time in a Florida uniform.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, that is a good point about even in the winners bracket when you go from the bracket 1 to bracket 2, because you think of even for Texas A&M getting one less day off than what Tennessee gets as well. North Carolina, who lost on Sunday night, they get a day off, and then they're playing today. Then you get into, if you're one of those teams, as you mentioned, you lose your Kentucky, you'll lose yesterday. Now you're playing today. I don't know if having Tennessee having essentially 2 days off compared to Texas A&M's full day off.
You have Tony V co-host with you today?
The biggest advantage or disadvantage there. But I definitely, to your point about the losers bracket, once you dip down into that difference between a day off and not having a day off, especially when it comes to what in most occasions impacts your pitching staff and how many arms you use. Now, good on Kentucky. They didn't have to all of a sudden fire through a bunch of bullets last night. But it is, in a lot of those circumstances, you get to that situation where that day off could be the difference between what you have available in your bullpen and what you don't have available in your bullpen, as opposed to losing on a Sunday night, being able to have the Monday off, and then you can take inventory from that point on, and you're kind of rocking and rolling on Tuesday, at least from the standpoint of being rested and having some arms available. Now, whether you win the game or not, that's on you. But yeah, I mean, it's
it definitely impacts how you use your bullpen.
Absolutely.
Right? You don't want to use up as many arms with pitches, so you kind of have to navigate in your head. Okay, this isn't going to be our night, but we're not going home. So, what does our pitching plan look like moving forward? If you lose your first game here, you got to win 4 in a row just to get to the championship series. And then when you get to the championship series, you probably have your number one going on that Saturday night. But man, you're probably not going to have an easy road through those 4 games to get to the championship series. It's just, is there any candidate that strongly you think is going to knock off Texas A&M or Tennessee? Because I want that as the final, because truly the internet cannot handle Texas A&M against Tennessee. It will be ruthless with the fan bases, and I will be here for it. And it also would be ideal because Texas A&M has traveled really well. And Tennessee has traveled better than they've traveled since the Tony V era, where they've started coming to Omaha. That would be a great championship series on the field and in the stands and on the internet.
Especially on the internet, that's the best.
Because the internet would not be ready for what Volunteer fans think of the Colt and what A&M fans think of Daniel Boone, who's rooting for Tennessee.
The thing about that, they're 2 damn good baseball teams, and the other part is they haven't played a regular season series. The only time they met up was in the SEC tournament, so you'd actually get a series between those two of the best teams, not only in the country but in that conference. That it would be sort of ironic that the only series they would play in would be the championship series. If you were wondering, I know you know this, Gary, but if people were wondering, when they did meet up in the SEC tournament, it was Tennessee who won 7-4. So you can draw whatever you want to off of that. I guess it was a recent game, more recent than, say, maybe a series in April, but still, there's not a lot of familiarity when it comes to these two teams playing each other. We got to get there first, and whenever the hell we get there, I don't know. But it just based on what we've seen from both of those teams, I have a tough time believing anybody's going to beat them twice before they would get to a Saturday championship series. That's just the way.
Nobody's beaten Texas A&M. Let's be honest here. We can break all this down. A majority of the fans that are in the ballpark, they just want to go to a game. Okay, they don't care who wins the championship. They just want to go to a game. Unless that's your team, you're rooting for them. Most of the people that are there, they just want to be in the ballpark. They want to have a good time. They're at the College World Series, and 2 weeks later, they will probably not know who won the national championship. So we just want games. We want good baseball. Please deliver for us. Unless you're a fan of Texas A&M or Tennessee. But man, Texas A&M, that is. They lost a top 5 pick in Montgomery. They lost another starter. Laviolette injured his hamstring
Yeah.
last night. Fortunately, they're off until Wednesday, but kudos to Texas A&M and Jim Schlossnagle, who has been one of the best coaches in college baseball for a while now, beginning at TCU and now in his third year at Texas A&M. They haven't let anything knock them off course. I mean, they're built really well. They haven't lost in the NCAA tournament. They're 7-0. They're battered and bruised, and yet they find a way to win games. Now, it helped last night. They had a guy that shoved. I mean, Prager was absolutely filthy last night, and they just sucked the air out of that game. And again, they're 7-0. And so I don't know who's going to beat Texas A&M and who's going to, knock off Tennessee along the way. Now, I could see Tennessee maybe dropping a game, but I don't know. Texas A&M might have that different kind of feel of this is our year. We've overcome a lot. This is our year. We've been one, like we just said, the Celtics. We've been one of the better teams in college baseball from start to finish. I mean, they haven't lost a game to non-SEC competition all season long. All season long.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the other part about what Texas A&M, when you just kind of watch their lineup 1 through 9. And that's, I'm glad you brought up the Montgomery because of how much more impactful that team would be with him in the lineup too. But 1 through 9, it's a tough out. Their pitching staff and even their bullpen to this point and what they've done throughout the season has been really, really solid. And it's not that, and I'm not trying to say that Tennessee doesn't match up because, again, we got to get there, but Tennessee does it in their own way, and they've been dominant in their own way too. Watch, maybe it's recency bias because the last college baseball game I watched here in the last 24 hours was Texas A&M, what I think is a good Kentucky team, just dominating what is a good offense, what is a good Kentucky offense. I mean, having a no-hitter going into the 7th inning, that is, I don't care what team you're playing, that is no easy feat, but especially against a Kentucky offense that has the numbers that they have, that you are controlling that part of it. And then, all right, their bats are quiet, but then all of a sudden you were up there in the 6th inning, and what they were able to do there, just enough, have that big inning, and it was lights out. So just one major punch in that game against a very good Kentucky, because I thought last night's game had a chance to be special because of those two teams. I think the Kentucky's also maybe not getting the type of credit that they deserve with the type of season that they've had. What Texas A&M did on the mound, you're right, with Prager was just outstanding. What they did on the mound, and then what they were able to do in stringing hits together there in the 6th inning, figuring a guy out. Because, as I mentioned, I mean, you got to give credit to Kentucky with what Mason Moore looked like he was doing, both athletically and from a pitching standpoint in that game. I mean, only 2 hits going into the 6th inning before that blow-up 6th inning. So that was impressive that they figured him out enough to string something together. A&M looks like a very complete team, and that's crazy to say considering you're missing one of the better players in college baseball.
Yeah, well, and they've also got a great pitching coach. I mean, he's a young guy who is going to be highly thought of. I mean, in the SEC, there are pitching coaches that have great success, and what do? They get offered jobs. Yep. Wes Johnson last year won a national championship with LSU as the pitching coach, and he almost brought Georgia here as the head coach this year in his first year. And Texas A&M has a great pitching coach. But I think the story of the night last night wasn't the fact that everybody was grabbing the record book to see if Prager was going to join some elite company by throwing a no-hitter. Did you see the mascot race? So they brought the mascot race. Remember a few years ago, Durango, the mascot for UNL, knocked down a kid and just got crushed on social media so much that I thought they were going to retire Durango.
Yep.
But then they had a nice little moment. They brought the kid over to Tal Anderson, and they embraced, and they had a race, and Durango let the kid win. As much as the person that was in the Durango costume, they didn't want that to happen, but they let it happen. So they brought the mascot race back last night. And Billy the Blue Jay, who it always seems like Billy the Blue Jay is very athletic. Whoever is in that costume is extremely athletic.
Yeah.
It's not like that's like frumpy dad body is in the mascot. Like Billy the Blue Jay usually is like probably cock diesel. So that mascot won. But it just reiterated last night how god awful, and he just happened to be in attendance, so he got to see it up close and personal, how god awful the Herby Husker is. That thing is just atrocious. Okay. That is an embarrassment to the state of Nebraska, the way that mascot looks. Okay. I just want you to know that I have when the first time they unveiled that at the spring game and I saw that, I lost my mind. And last night they had him out there, and I apologize to the kids that get the opportunity to be the mascot in Nebraska, and you have to wear that thing because the Herby Husker mascot currently is just terrible. It looks so bad. There you go.
Have you hit your breaking point yet, or are you beyond that with Herby Husker?
No, because I think people are going to listen and then they will tweak it a little bit.
Okay.
You cannot look at that mascot. You cannot look at that mascot and go, "Oh my God, I wonder how many titles he's won in the mascot competitions."
Yeah.
I wonder in voting, I mean, is he a runaway winner? No. Here's what happens.
Is it the eyes?
No, it's the whole damn costume. It's just frumpy. It looks. I like the muscular Herby.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the eyes are like
Power Herby.
I mean, kids are waking up in the middle of the night screaming because they have the vision of the current Herby Husker eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It just no. I mean, bring back the corn cob man for God's sake.
Oh, yeah. Now,
but it just when you put it up next to other mascots, it doesn't look good. It looks like this creation that should never have gotten out of the lab.
It's fair. I'm not saying I disagree. I love how passionate you are.
Would your kid be scared of this thing?
Yeah. Well, and right now I'm looking at a side to side of old muscular Herby wearing what always looked like the red Carhartt shirt, and then you got back to good old school overall creepy Herby. Yeah, there's something about the blonde bangs coming out of the hat into the very psychotic looking eyes. Yeah, it's not a friendly look.
Here's what I wanted a combination.
Have a friendly look.
We're revisiting a conversation we had when this was first debuted. If they could have a mixture of the blonde Herby, the old blonde Herby, the Herby that was before that was a little bit muscular,
yeah,
that would be the way to go. But this what the current Herby looks like is the guy that dresses as Herby Husker that sits in the stands at football games.
Maybe that's what they're going for. Just really trying to align themselves with a common fan. Keegan in the stream says, "I hate sexy Herby." Are we calling him sexy Herby? Are the eyes supposed to be like sexy?
Keegan is. So we'll go with Keegan.
Or was there another Herby that maybe was being workshopped? Maybe it was being workshopped and it never came to fruition. But I don't know if anybody refers to this Herby as sexy Herby. I know you wouldn't, Gary. This is creepy Herby, or just I don't know. I don't know how you describe it, because it does invoke a little rage from you. But now I get it. As you said, you're trying to speak it into existence so they'll make some subtle tweaks. You've got a strong voice in our great state. So I hope that maybe that can be the difference of invoking change when it comes to Herby, because I think, and I'm glad you brought up my son. I think all mascots should have a very friendly look. If you are a young kid, you should not be scared of a mascot. I know as an adult, I've been scared of a few mascots. We don't want to put Herby Husker with the Friar and
That's
with
exactly what I was thinking.
Yes, and with the Wheat Shocker, and what are some of the other ones? Purdue Pete. Yeah, I mean,
Pistol Pete.
He's in that category. And I don't know it. I feel very confident that wasn't the intention, but I think that's where our beloved Herby Husker has now fallen to, is where he's now into the realm of the creepy mascots.
Hey, just win. Okay. Just win. If Nebraska wins, this Herby Husker looks fantastic, and I don't care. Okay. It can be wearing pants or no pants, overalls or no overalls.
Yeah.
Just win. But he was out there like with maybe as a standalone in a Nebraska event where there's no other mascots, you don't notice it. But when you see him with other mascots, you're like, oh, jeez, my gosh.
Does it make you appreciate Little Red?
I'm as you know, I'm a minority, and Little Red I like Little Red, but I am very much on an island by myself.
I don't want to say you're on an island by yourself.
I thought he didn't like Little Red.
I'm indifferent of Little Red. I don't love him, but I also don't want to pop him like Connor does. So I'm indifferent. I think Little Red serves a purpose. I like the way they use them. They really have them engage with the younger crowd.
Isn't that Connor's coworker? That's not nice. We don't work with Little Red, but Connor does. He sees him about 20 nights a year.
Yeah, I guess that is true. Yeah, on some of his other gigs. Yeah,
see what they should have done. Okay, this is the same rant I had a few years ago. They went too much the extreme. Like they had, like the cock diesel Herbie, and then they went to this. Like there could have been like a middle ground.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, combine the best of both worlds on this one instead of going to the creepy one. I just, again, there are a lot of features about it. I agree with you, Gary, but I just like how much more outspoken you are about it. I appreciate that. I mean, we have to be passionate about things in our life, and this one gets you. But you're right. We're not talking about this, and if we're coming off of an 8-win season either. So
this is good summer content. Welcome to the College World Series, everybody.
That's right.
This is day 5. Day 5.
It is day 5. Yeah, that is accurate. We do have some college baseball to talk about. A story that we were talking about yesterday has become official. Mark Kingston is the new coach in waiting for Creighton. That was announced shortly after we were off the air. We're going to talk to Sam McEwen of the Omaha World Herald as they continue their camp countdown, getting ready for the fall camp, which is it's not that far away. Also, we'll be talking to Brian Christopherson of Husker 24/7 Sports. Our lineup is powered by the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. You can get in touch with the conversation on the 42-degree hotline, The Source, by your mom's house, 402-951-1620. The Equitable Bank inbox open for you. Hey, by the way, we had a Doug sighting yesterday.
Oh, really? He stopped by?
Yes, he came by the baseball village. It's been a while since we heard from him, so that was
how's he getting around?
He looked great. And I was joking with him. I said, "Did you just get done playing 18?" And he nodded yes. So he actually did play golf yesterday. Doug and the gang, though, they will take care of you. And you can hit us up on the Equitable Bank inbox. Email the show. I am Handley at 1620thezone.com. He is Gary at 1620thezone.com. And then, of course, the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it these days. It is at Nick Handley 1620, at Gary Sharp 1620. So Boston is crowned. By the way, we have there was also news involving Creighton baseball and Nebraska baseball that will now make J-Sker fans confused. Maybe
come on, they can make them confused. There are J-Skers is only a basketball fan. They don't care about baseball.
Okay. If that's the case, then
if you are a Creighton baseball fan, you are a Creighton fan through and through, and
that's true.
You have nothing to do with Nebraska. J-Sker does not root for Creighton baseball.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. But we do have at least one, could be more, but we do have at least one Creighton transfer that has made his commitment to Nebraska. We'll tell you about that. We've got some college football to get into as well today. Also, a little College World Series, but also we have something that Gary brought up last week that maybe you thought was something, maybe you didn't. Well, it has become something with the New York Mets involving someone who threw out a first pitch. Also, we did something.
Hey, poll question. What is a better mascot, Grimace or the current Herby Husker?
What did you say? How would we start to like the new Herby Husker?
Give me 45 seconds.
If you start winning.
Good point, Nick. Good point.
If you start winning, and that's happening. Also,
beat the Mets. Beat the Mets.
As we were crowning Adrian Martinez, we completely, I'll put this on me, completely overlooked. It is good to be a former Nebraska quarterback right now based on accomplishments and weekend accomplishments, because there was another one on Saturday involving a former Nebraska quarterback that we did not mention as well. But I digress. We'll get into that. And also,
right, Paul's up.
Paul Skeens is just dominating. I mean, there's your story. You can discuss if you want, but Paul Skeens is, gosh, I'm so happy I had a chance to see him like up close and personal last year, and even having a chance to look up to him with a microphone after a game against Tennessee last year, because he's special, man. That guy's just a dude, and he was good again last night. But all of that we will get to. Again, you can join us. Also, welcome to 1620 The Zone TV and all of our streamers, Rick and Keegan, and all of you. Appreciate you being with us, as well as Gary is singing the Greet the Mets, Meet the Mets.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kids, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall.
You got to somehow get Grimace in there too.
I could work. That's off the top of my head, because that
was really good. That was good.
A lot of, seen way too many Mets games in my lifetime.
That is.
They used to be good though, kids.
Yeah, they did. Oh, I remember in the 80s.
Long live Mr. and Mrs. Metz and cocaine.
Yeah, I do. We're getting things fired up. Glad you're with us here on a Tuesday. Gary is in the home studio. Nick and Jimmy are here on 50th and Capitol. Don't forget, we've got Omaha Baseball Village coverage beginning at 10 a.m., and then we will have more College World Series action for you. Our schedule again today, and another elimination game going on. We'll have Florida State, UNC, that's at 1, and then tonight's winners, well, not winners bracket game, but another elimination game. Now that we're at that point, it'll be Kentucky and Florida, so teams will be going home today. Will we get both games in?
As
we are
the weather
crossing our
schedule
fingers.
allows.
That's right. We're hoping that will happen.
Rusty says LOL.
Yeah, I think every meteorologist is doing that right now.
Hey, let's just have a little faith. Maybe things will change.
Omadome.
Okay.
Omadome.
Yeah,
Actually, Omaha doesn't look that bad.
Yeah, Omadome has had a few rips in it.
Couple cracks.
Yeah.
But we can always hold out for the Omadome.
Fingers crossed that we are able to navigate the weather today. But be prepared.
Yes, be prepared. Hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst. That's all we can do.
Pretty much what I say.
Isn't the line prepare for the best, expect the worst? Or is it the other way around? Is it prepare for the worst, expect the best?
Well, the other one you said, that's a Chicago Bears motto. Yeah, for fans.
Mine is prepare for the worst, expect the worst, and hey, you might be surprised some days.
That's how that goes. Yeah,
that's going to be on your epitaph, Jimmy.
Yep.
All right.
Hey, we'll see. Whatever.
We're off and running on a Tuesday. Happy you're with us. We're back right after this here on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone.
When it comes to concrete repair, Everlevel has some serious game. Coach Greg McDermott here to coach you on why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. They've got the fundamentals to fix your cracked and uneven concrete, and their products will give you the best defense against future damage. It's a fraction of the price compared to replacement, and their solutions come with a long-term transferable warranty. Working with Everlevel is a slam dunk. Call Everlevel Concrete Repair today for your free inspection.
News Talk 1290 Coil is your radio home for Omaha Storm Chasers baseball, proud AAA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Tune in to hear every pitch, every hit, and every out as the Chasers play at Warner Park and across the International League in 2024. With the voice of the Omaha Storm Chasers, Nick Batters, on News Talk 1290 Coil.
Tune in to 1290 Coil all season long for your Omaha Storm Chasers baseball as they take on the International League. It's Storm Chasers baseball on 1290 Coil.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
If you're planning on popping the question this year, now is the time to buy the engagement ring at Greenberg's and receive 20% off a men's or ladies' wedding band during Greenberg's Wedding Band Extravaganza. And you'll be entered to win a free honeymoon with airfare and hotel included. Heck, even if you already have your engagement ring, Greenberg's will still give you 20% off of his or her wedding band and enter you to win the free honeymoon. Greenberg's has a stunning wedding band selection from Love Story, Crown Ring, Benchmark, and M-Fit, with 20% off for a very limited time. 20% off wedding bands and potentially a free honeymoon during Greenberg's Wedding Band Extravaganza. Like I said, now is the time to buy that engagement ring and wedding band from Greenberg's Jewelers, a cut above the rest. Westroads Mall. Some restrictions apply.
I can't believe tax season is here already. Look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
If you need bold banners to boost your business, but you're on a budget, think Staples. Because now at Staples, you can save up to $50 on your print purchase. From posters and flyers to signs and menus, Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward. And with Staples Print Perfect Guarantee, it's done right or it's printed again free. Plus, same-day service is available on hundreds of items if you order by noon. Get it printed right at Staples. And now get up to $50 off your print purchase. And 76, visit staples.com/print for details.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Since 1972, family-owned and locally roasted Host Coffee Service has been roasting the finest coffee for businesses and restaurants. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
So the first pitch thrown by Grimace has led to a 6-game Mets winning streak. And
regular Sid Fernandez.
I know, we mentioned that. Gary, I got to give you a lot of credit. I don't know if you necessarily envisioned the heater that the Mets are on since Grimace threw out the first pitch, but all of us, you'd mentioned how Grimace had been done dirty, how they kind of, they bring Grimace out every now and then just to sort of keep Grimace happy. But all of a sudden, the Mets are going to want to embrace Grimace. But I didn't see this one. And thank you to Steve in the J-Tech Zone Jesus. Let me try that again. The J-Tech Construction. The J-Tech
We're in bed with the Catholic Church here at the
Zone Twitter feed. The Tyler Reddick Iowa Speedway look with the Hamburglar and the Hamburglar racing uniform that he had on too. So now do we have Hamburglar also in the fray of sports and trying to invoke victories?
Grimace in 5 games.
Apparently it didn't go very well, but the Grimace thing for the Mets, this is a real thing. 6 wins since the purple plump one threw out a pitch.
I know. They thought about, Bartolo Colon had contacted them when things were going rough. He's like, I'm not fully retired. And they said, no, we're good. We got this thing called Grimace.
He's your friend.
Yes.
Wait, was Bartolo in the Grimace mascot uniform?
You know what? What would you rather have? Would you rather have what is an aged Bartolo Colon or Grimace? Because I don't think if there was a bunt down the first base line, Grimace could get off the mound, waddle over, pick it up, and do what Bartolo Colon once did, and that flipped it behind his back to first base to record the out.
Yeah.
And then subsequently hit a bomb, because Bartolo does that as well. I don't know if Grimace has the full extension to be able to elevate a pitch out of any stadium in Major League Baseball.
Grimace just looks
so
like
I think there are limitations to Grimace, but this is guys, keep your eye on this. This is 6 wins in a row for a really bad Mets team. They're only 3 games below 500 right now.
They're right there. Grimace leading the new Herbie, by the way, by quite a bit to start our poll at 67% to 33.
I mean, Grimace used to steal milkshakes and Cokes. That was his whole thing.
Yep.
And now he is stealing victories for the Mets. Thank you.
Yes.
And he pedals those
beautiful.
Epic.
Wasn't it? Grimace was a bit of an agitator. That was Grimace's MO. And
well, he was. So when he was first introduced, I know way too much about McDonald's land. He was introduced as an evil. Yeah,
yes.
he was evil Grimace when they first introduced him.
Yeah, a bad guy.
Yeah. And
Now,
Viking fans got upset because what are you trying to say about purple people?
Well, the McDonald's crew And I brought up the Hamburglar as well. They had their bad guys and good guys. I never really understand why they needed to have necessarily the good and the positive and negative when it came to trying to appeal to the kids' meal.
I always thought Mayor McCheese was corrupt.
Was taking bribes.
Oh yeah, it's totally on the table.
Was that McDonald's way of just educating kids, but also trying to just get them used to the real
You're gonna get
world?
screwed by authority. When
I feel like that is, there's Hamburglers out there. There's mischievous purple blobs out there that you could try to associate them to any walk of life, if you will. I think it was up to the parents.
3-4.
Well, the Happy Meal gang was supposed to just be along with Ronald, was supposed to be the main characters for McDonald's.
Yeah.
Because the Happy Meal gang, the kids were they're excited. They're supposed to make you feel good about yourself.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they started introducing like the McNugget buddies.
Yeah.
They did that back in the 80s. And then they had if I remember, this is way, way back. They had like the
fries.
They had the Fry Kids, right?
Yep, the Fry
Wasn't
Kids.
there a yellow, a red, and a blue?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
This was my childhood.
The McNugget buddies. I remember having to collect all of them. That was a mission in life when we would go to McDonald's, and when I would get the same one, I would get really ticked off. And unfortunately, I think I got mad at my mom because I'm like, well, we can't go again because they're doing the same McNugget buddy this week. I got to wait till the following one. I mean, I was very demanding. I wanted the full collection.
Hey, I went to because of McDonald's. I went inside of a jail for the first time.
Same.
What?
Well, because if you go to the playground,
they had jail.
Yeah, the Mayor McCheese. It was a jail.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
we had these girls in our summer camp. They ran like a thing out of there where they would arrest you and take you to this jail.
Really? I missed out on the man. I love the ball pit. They always had a good ball.
Quite a few follow-ups to that story I have, Jimmy. But
exactly,
we'll save those for the podcast.
Exactly.
Getting back to the mascot real quickly. Lego Maniac says Nebraska needs to go back to polo shirt Herby from a few seasons ago. I think that's the one that you were referring to. And then this one is actually kind of creepy that Lego Maniac suggests. He says replace Little Red mascot or the Little Red with a mascot version of the black shirt logo. Ooh,
that's called the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm wondering.
I'm down.
I'm wondering. Nick, you and I were talking last year when a lot of recruits wore red on red. There's a lot of the black shirt jersey is showing up in recruits' pictures.
Does that mean we will see?
Or maybe.
Cool.
But I wonder if we will see more branding with the black shirt.
I think that's.
It's not a bad idea if you're openly talking about being the best defense in the country,
right,
and across the country. People still, if there's one thing that has been constant where people attach to Nebraska football, it is that's the black shirts.
Yep.
Whether they play like what a black shirt is supposed to be or not, that's what people around the country still associate with Nebraska football. I see that jersey a lot in recruits' pictures, and I'm wondering if we will see either that'll be a jersey that'll be used during the season, but even more so, will we see more branding with the black shirts, the skull and crossbones? Because you haven't really
like you did.
I mean, you haven't. They don't put it out there as prominently as they used to. But I've just seen it a lot more in this, like in the recruiting visits in the class of 25, where they take pictures and defensive guys are wearing that black shirt, black jersey.
No, you're right, because remember it was the trend last year where it was the red on red, and it led us to believe, man, these kids really like the red on red. Does Matt Rule, does the coaching staff like the red on red? Well, we see a red on red uniform this year, and now the trend seems to be more of the black shirt, and so then it makes you think, is that going to be more? Now that would make more sense, and we've seen. I'll be honest, I didn't mind. Even though they lost to Indiana coming off that bye week, I didn't mind the black jersey when they did the nod to the black shirts and they had the skull and crossbone on the side. That actually was a cool look. You had the black N. That looked pretty damn cool too. But, okay. Could you do black on black?
That wouldn't be a bad look.
Oh, it can.
That would be a really good look.
If you're going to do it, do it.
Go all in. I wouldn't hate it. That's intimidating.
You have, you have somebody who is not ardent about your colors.
Yep.
The fight to bring back the skinny A on the ball cap and bring back black.
Has anybody asked Troy Dannon about that since he took over, about the skinny end coming back to baseball? I mean, that could have been the difference between them getting out of a regional and not.
No, I don't think they have.
When is his next appearance on Sports Nightly? I'm going to call.
Yeah, that would be the perfect show. I don't know that you'd be the perfect person to call, but that would be the perfect. If you're going to ask questions like that, that is the opportunity.
Exactly. You can't do that at a press conference or anything, but that is the forum right there.
No, he's he's kind of been quiet of late. He's done a lot of stuff privately. Like he had, meeting with the media, select members of the media privately. He's done some other private events. He's just trying to. I think he's trying to figure everything out, get his front office in line, and address some of the issues. But I think he's just going to be a guy that's, you're not going to be talking about him a lot.
No,
but the next time he is on the radio, those are the kind of questions that are perfect for that show.
Yep.
Instead of at a public gathering and a public press conference. Troy, I got a question. Before you got here, they redid the baseball caps this year. They were not attractive. They used to be very successful when they had the skinny end. Now with the block end, they won 40 plus. I'm thinking with the skinny end, they would have been able to win about 5-6 more games, and probably it would have made them in a better mood when they went in the clubhouse in the midweeks and they saw their hat and they're like, "Oh, I love the skinny end. Let's go out and let's play for the skinny end instead of let's play for the block end." That's how I would call in and present that.
Well, you missed the most important part of that call, though. First of all, welcome to Nebraska. Really excited that you're here. Then I get into that question. Okay. All right.
People would still call like an AD show like 4 years into their tenure. Hey, welcome to Nebraska.
Even if it was a Nebraska native, you have to. It's
glad to have you here. What do you think of Lincoln?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the other one. Yeah. So what do you think of Lincoln so far? Yep. Then you get to ask that question. Well, that wasn't my question, but I just wanted to throw in that pleasantry there. Jimmy's got an update coming up here on the other side of the break. We're also going to talk to Sam McEwen of the Omaha World Herald to get a little football pre-camp things going on. You guys realize we are I'm not even doing the countdown to the season. I'm just getting us counted down to the Big Ten Media Days, because then it really gets underway. And we are
74 days.
A little more than 5 weeks.
Well, you're 5 weeks.
Wow. 5 weeks away from Big Ten Media Days, boys. It is going to be our 3-day Big Ten Media Day affair now that we have that many teams. July 1st will be here when we officially welcome in our new members of the Big Ten. I mean, there are things that are on the horizon here that college football is getting close. But
get some ducks from the zoo that day.
Oh.
You're down at the Village. Why don't you ask the zoo people to bring some ducks on July 1st?
I don't know. They tend to be a little feisty, and they crap all over the place, but
so do I. I mean, I'm here.
Wow. All right. With that, Jimmy's going to have an update coming up. It is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time Saving Traffic Center. The morning commute starting to pick up in the Omaha Metro on this Tuesday morning. Slow goings on northbound JFK from L to the I-80, I-480 interchange. Delays on westbound I-80 towards the exit ramp to 144th. Slow moving traffic on eastbound Dodge from I-680 to 72nd. Keep in mind College World Series festivities taking place throughout the day. First pitch is at 1. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Just be sure to buckle up, drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
We're excited to announce the grand opening of Saul's Jewelry and Loan's new downtown location. It's a Saul's shopping experience like you've never seen. Amazing jewelry finds at our famous best-in-town prices. Tools, bikes, guitars. 22nd and Harney, downtown Omaha, Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
News Talk 1290 Coil is your radio home for Omaha Storm Chasers baseball, proud AAA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Tune in to hear every pitch, every hit, and every out as the Chasers play at Warner Park and across the International League in 2024. With the voice of the Omaha Storm Chasers, Nick Batters, on News Talk 1290 Coil.
Tune in to 1290 Coil all season long for your Omaha Storm Chasers baseball as they take on the International League. It's Storm Chasers baseball on 1290 Coil.
The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is available right at your fingertips in Iowa. The Circa Sports Iowa app is sports betting the way it should be. Bet anywhere in Iowa and experience high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-238-7633.
If you're planning on popping the question this year, now is the time to buy the engagement ring at Greenberg's and receive 20% off a men's or ladies' wedding band during Greenberg's Wedding Band Extravaganza. And you'll be entered to win a free honeymoon with airfare and hotel included. Heck, even if you already have your engagement ring, Greenberg's will still give you 20% off of his or her wedding band and enter you to win the free honeymoon. Greenberg's has a stunning wedding band selection from Love Story, Crown Ring, Benchmark, and M-Fit with 20% off for a very limited time. 20% off wedding bands and potentially a free honeymoon during Greenberg's Wedding Band Extravaganza. Like I said, now is the time to buy that engagement ring and wedding band from Greenberg's Jewelers, a cut above the rest. Westroads Mall. Some restrictions apply.
Watching a ball game at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is pretty awesome. Oscar's offers the MLB package, so your team is always on their upgraded audio-video system, and nothing is better than watching the game with a cold frosty one, Oscar's Pizza, or award-winning char-buffed wings. And with daily lunch and dinner specials, it's really a no-brainer. So get ready to watch your favorite team play ball at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Are Nebraska craft beers and ciders important to you? Whether you just love Nebraska brewed beers and ciders or you're a full-fledged craft brewery, there are benefits to membership for anyone with the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild. Their sole mission is to foster and help grow the Nebraska-centric brewing community. Become a member today at nebraska.beer and help advance the craft beer and cider industry in the state of Nebraska. Find out more about the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild at nebraska.beer.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop. Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Put your coffee department in good hands with Host Coffee Service, providing direct delivery and loaned coffee equipment with service programs. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Stop by Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off Super Paint products and Super Deck stains from June 14th through the 24th. It's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
We really could just break down the McDonald's characters as a football team for 4 hours.
Well, they could make for a good segment, good summer segment too.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I know we've had some people ask Grimace, why isn't he an offensive lineman? That's a terrific question, but there is value to having a big nose in the middle to plug it up, plug the run, but also it is very selfless. He may only have 2 tackles in a game, but he sets up everybody else to do things. And I do think that McDonald's defense would be hard hitting and lethal.
Yeah,
those Fry dudes, we
have the Fry kids as DBs. We think Ronald McDonald
and not
his length
douchebags.
could be
defensive backs.
Yeah, Ronald McDonald with his length. I know a lot of people think he'd be like the quarterback but I don't know, man. You got to use him either on the edge offensively or defensively. I don't know.
And again, Grimace. Well, the Fry kids you were talking about would be great out in space, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think really good space guys, and then
Garrett McGuire would work with them.
The McNugget buddies would be your offensive linemen.
Maybe a fullback.
Yep.
One of the
for sure.
McDonald or one of the McNugget buddies could be named Schlesinger. Anyway, or Makovica. Texas A&M scored all of its run in the sixth inning. Ryan Prager, he's pretty good. He held Kentucky hitless into the seventh, and the Aggies are off to their best start in the College World Series after a 5-1 win last night at the Chuck. They're 51-13. They're 2-0 in the CWS for the first time in 8 appearances and have taken control of Bracket 2. Shout out to Bluebell Ice Cream. They'll await the winner of a Tuesday elimination game they play at Bluebell Park, between Florida and Kentucky in the bracket final on Wednesday. We'll see if that game gets played tonight. They would have to lose twice to be kept out of the best-of-3 finals of today's first game as Florida State and North Carolina in the Greg Jones Classic. Kids, just YouTube Greg Jones stiff arm, and you might need to have a couple of lung darts after watching that on repeat. Regardless, it just looks like the Aggies and Vols this weekend. The Storm Chasers are back home to open a series with the Bats of Louisville. 12:05 first pitch today. Storm Chasers are 47-20. At a celebration held last night, the mayor of Crimetown declares June 7th to be Darius Luff Day, honoring the 2024 NCAA 110-meter hurdles champion, and very well deserved. The Lincoln native crossed the finish line first at the NCAA Outdoor Championships on June 7th at a personal best time of 13:19, making him the first 110-meter hurdles national champion in school history. That time is a school record, 9th in collegiate history, and 12th in the world this year. Maybe he could pop Little Red. In basketball, all hail the new champions of professional basketball, the Boston Celtics. They blow out Dallas 106-88 in Game 5 to win a championship in the names of Joey Colbert and Jacob Bigelow. Tatum and Brown score 31 and 21 respectively. Lucas scores 28. The broadcast was as awful as ever. Thankfully, it's all over. Tonight, the hockey season will end as the Panthers look to close out Edmonton at home in Game 5. Other basketball news, Jeff Van Gundy has agreed on a deal. No, not to return to TV. Sorry, guys. But he will become the lead assistant on Ty Lue's Clippers coaching staff. That's a big victory for Ty Lue. Van Gundy is considered one of the finest minds in basketball and has been pursued for years to return to coaching on a full-time basis. His relationship with Lue and the franchise's fondness for Van Gundy played major parts in the Clippers' ability to land him. Plus, let's not forget, their new arena will have all the toilets. Remember, Steve Ballmer told us this a year ago. So as Van Gundy gets older, that bladder starts to, you know how it goes. There'll be no depends for Jeff Van Gundy. At 62, he spent the previous 16 years as an excellent television analyst and then was fired for telling it like it is and being good at his job in favor of people who are the opposite. Anyway, he accepted a role with the Celtics as president of basketball operations to Brad Stevens last summer, and he gets a ring. Congratulations to him. They built a strong relationship, by the way, Van Gundy and Ty Lue as members of the USA basketball staff, and Lue decided to pursue Van Gundy for his staff. And the more you know, Van Gundy coached Lue for a season with the Houston Rockets way back in 2004. Man, that was a good year. Finally, the AFC North is ready for its close-up. The division best known for heated rivalries and star quarterbacks and cold weather and not seeing the sun for 4 months in the winter will be featured on the in-season edition of HBO's Hard Knocks this season. It's the first time the Emmy Award-winning series has chronicled an entire damn division. Last season, the AFC North's 4 teams, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, and the Steelers, all finished with winning records, and Joe Burrow will be back. You've been warned. You'll be sure to enjoy, but it doesn't debut till December.
So, this is the in-season, and then the Chicago Bears get the camp version of it. In the days ahead, I will be sporting a new Chicago Bears shirt that I'm really excited about. That's all I can really say.
It's like the old coaches' shirts that they wore in the early 90s with the stripes. And
oh, that would be cool. No, I don't have those because I couldn't wear those without the bike shorts as well. And I can't really find those anywhere.
Bike shorts?
Yeah, the bike shorts with the snaps, the TO ones.
You got to go to Goodwill.
There you go.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Shout out Goodwill.
Well, the length that the Youngs are wearing their shorts, I feel like those bike shorts would be a hit with them. Because that is about the appropriate length that you're seeing all of the young dudes.
Well, the shorts, but it doesn't mean they're the nut huggers either.
I don't think they really care.
No.
Yeah, I've seen enough of that at the College World Series that my shorts that usually come down to right above like my kneecap.
Be nice. Josh is our coworker.
Those are super long. Those are very, very long. So yeah, there is that. Mentioned, and thank you, Jimmy. We mentioned that there is little movements in the transfer portal when it comes to college baseball, and it is it's an in-state move. And that will be Hogan Haligzo making his way over from Creighton as the backstop now to Nebraska. That was announced yesterday. I know his father, who is a Nebraska alum, he's very excited about that as well. Tommy, who a lot of you, especially Creighton fans, know Tommy, and he was one of the guys that during the road trips would actually have the games on Facebook Live. So when you couldn't tap into Flow Sports or a lot of those games that weren't even televised, you could thank Tommy Haligzo for that. So he won't have to really do that as much this year. But Hogan Haligzo, one of a couple that you would think at least Nebraska has kicked the tires on when it comes to the defections of this last season from Creighton. That was one of the big stories after their regular season, Gary. We talked about this a lot, the amount of players and players that had significant roles, whether it was a freshman like Shea Went or a Mason Cook, who was their top reliever.
By the way, he's going to Auburn.
Yeah.
He's got a nice NIL package to go pitch at Auburn.
Yep. And that was, we had talked to Kyle Peterson last week, and he had mentioned a certain SEC school had wanted to know more about Mason Cook from Kyle. And I think now we can fill in the blanks there, but it's a solid addition. I can say this about Hogan. What I watched him over the last few seasons, it was more of his defense that I think got him going there and got him in the lineup and one of the more reliable players defensively for Ed Service. But his offense as of late, and if you just look at the numbers from year to year, gradual improvement, but you saw a lot more ability to hit the long ball too, to go in the gaps a lot more so too. So his contact has improved. Be curious to see what another year developing that part of his game will be, but a very reliable catcher. It's a good addition. It's a solid addition for Nebraska. And I think you're going to continue to hear a lot of names, whether it be from Creighton, but Nebraska here in the next month of that roster and maybe addressing some of the vacant spots that the Nebraska baseball team has.
No, I think it's a good pickup because of the position. Nebraska needs a veteran catcher, and Hogan, no doubt, has played a lot of college baseball. So it is a good pickup. I thought it was kind of interesting, and it is rare to have somebody play at both programs. Now it has happened in baseball, and it's happened a little bit more than you would think, but never have we had it in basketball, men's basketball. He said there shouldn't be any bad blood on Nebraska's side. They're pretty fired up. I think anybody that would be sticking around Creighton would understand, because one of the things that Hogan mentioned that I think the 13 players from Creighton that went into the portal would all mention is, I wanted to go to a place that had resources, whether it be a practice facility, the stadium you play in, NIL, other things that are, travel. My dad doesn't have to stream games on Facebook Live. They actually carry all the games.
Right.
So, it kind of, it told you where Nebraska is in terms of resources, where Creighton is in terms of resources. And also, I think the bottom line is, if you're a guy like Hogan, and, we've been watching him play here in the Metro well before he ever ended up at Creighton, and he had a nice career at Creighton. He was an integral part of their team. His bottom line, I'd like to finish my career playing in the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
I think that the Mark Kingston hire is a really, really good hire, but now is it pouring resources into the program outside of the salaries of the head coach and a pitching coach and what else you do with your staff? Is there any possibility of NIL? Is there any possibility of upgrading the practice facility on campus? Is there any direction on when this new baseball, softball facility will be built? Because there's a lot of people that are in the dark, including a head coach who has no idea when this is going to happen. They know it's out there, but they have no idea when it's going to happen. Are you gonna pour resources into the program for the players? Because you've clearly done it on the coaching side with good hires. But when you're a player and you're looking and you talk to, Hogan's got friends on Nebraska's roster, and they're probably telling him, hey, we fly charter, we do this and this, we got this. And he's like, oh, well, we don't have that. We sometimes get to bus to Indianapolis, or we got to go play in a city park to play a conference game. But it's a good pickup for Nebraska. I'm excited to see what he does, but Nebraska needs, because Josh Caron is going to leave. He'll get drafted. Ben Columbus is out of eligibility. So it's a position of need, and, it's a position of familiarity. And we'll see what those 3 games are like this upcoming 2025 season. But I don't think there's any bad blood, because I think anybody that would be left in the Creighton program would understand, even though it is Nebraska, that somebody wants to play in the NCAA. They want to be taken care of. They want to get the experience of playing college baseball, where you might get a little NIL money, and you're a big deal. And there's a passionate fan base.
Yeah, and I think you're right, because if you're, say, maybe 2 or 3 guys that hit the transfer portal, it's a bigger thing. But when you have 11 guys that hit the transfer portal, and the majority of those guys had at least some type of role in that last year's team, that's more of the trend that I don't think anybody's going to hold a lot of grudges, because I think they understand it. I think we talked about this a lot, both you and I yesterday morning, and we talked about this a couple of different occasions before Mark Kingston was even named the head coach, but also talking about this with Josh in the Omaha Baseball Village. It's a very uncertain season for Creighton. That's the best way I can look at it. A very unpredictable season for Creighton when it comes to how roles are going to be doled out. And I immediately think of the player, and I couldn't tell you if Hogan or if Mason or if anybody else that has found a landing spot, if they knew what the coaching search was going to entail, if they ever were keeping an eye on that and thought, hey, you know what, if the path is open for me to come back, maybe I would. I don't think that was ever the case. I think they just knew that they needed, to your point, to get to the NCAA tournament. It obviously is a big draw, but also I think you nailed it when it comes to how you are supporting the actual players themselves when it comes to resources. And you and I have talked about this a lot. What would be amazing for Creighton is for them to have that on-site, that on-campus facility, which at some point is going to happen. But I remember Evan Porter and even Bobby Harold, to an extent, at Omaha, having to go through this when it came to being able to recruit the Metro, which they did and continue to do very, very well. But the biggest challenge was having to sell them on Boys Town, the ballpark there, and then also trying to sell them on, well, we know we've got people that are financially going to back a new facility. We just don't know when. And it's almost like the players saying, okay, well, if you hear anything soon, get back to me. But, I'll consider you, but I'm going to keep my options open. And those options are usually going to include baseball programs that have facilities that are more accommodating, are more college-level facilities, even if it's just as simply at a basic level, that you don't have to drive a few miles away from campus to go to essentially what is not even a nice high school baseball field like Boys Town. And once they had not only that facility and you had a hard date on when it would open, but you could see the renderings of it because that was what was made public. You could finally start recruiting to that before it was even built. That's a big deal especially to a lot of baseball players, a lot of college baseball players that they're not asking for the world. You're not asking for even having maybe the best NIL opportunities. At the very least, you want those types of facilities. And so it's not that, okay, you're playing at Charles Schwab Field and that's a dump. No, but we've talked about it many times. You don't need to go through that again on the drawback of that as well. And look, competitors, they want to play in front of crowds. Competitors want to feel support. They want to feel fan support. And so when you have 3,000 people going to a game, even on a light night when you have 1,800, you want to be able to notice that too. You want to be able to feel that, even that support on a given night. And so there's a lot of little things that I just think are so much in the air. On top of the biggest issue that we got into yesterday, and that is who's calling the shots next year, how that's going to look, all of those uncertainties. I think this is going to continue to be a really interesting development with Creighton baseball this year to see how that roster comes together, how they're able to recruit with the uncertainty of facilities and also the uncertainty of 2025 on whose role is what.
Yeah. Is Mark Kingston going to be in uniform?
That's a great question. It really is. That's a good question. I don't know. I liken it to.
Will he be an observer?
The observer,
for a whole
like
year.
That comes in the back of the classroom and is observing.
Do everything behind the scenes, recruit. It's his staff that he puts together, but he is, not clearly the man until after this season or after beginning in 2026.
So I thought about this last night, actually, when I was coming back from the second OBV show. And I know how I said when you and I talked, and I still think that there's a part of this, that Ed would be more that CEO role. Do you think Ed would come back if he knew that was going to be his role? That's where maybe I'm speaking out of term as far, and it might be forced upon him. I'm not trying to say that Ed's going to get whatever he wants out of this, but I do wonder if it was more insinuated of, hey, we're going to give you that last year. We want to have the coach in waiting. We'd like him to take more of a prominent role. We just want you to be the face of this team and just really enjoy that last year. You go up and you do the lineup card. You talk to the media before the season and during the week and all of that. And yeah, you still address the team and all of that. But a lot of that college baseball grind work, we want that to be for the coach in waiting. I don't know if Ed accepts that role. I don't know if that's,
but I think what you just described is the role.
I did too. I can't see another role, because if you have a different role, there's no way this thing functions properly in 25. If it does even at all,
is this the Bobby Bowden, Jimbo Fisher?
Yes. I think
Bobby Bowden was the figurehead, didn't really do much in his last year. Jimbo Fisher did everything. And then when the season was over, the transition was a little bit easier because people are familiar with the style of Jimbo Fisher, because he essentially was the head coach in Bobby Bowden's last year. He just didn't step on his toes to make sure that Bobby Bowden got his flowers as one of the greats as he was going out the door. Is it just like that? And that's probably what it is. But I don't know. You'd have to be really comfortable with that. And maybe it was clear when this all happened that was going to be your role. You either accept it or you're not going to be here, and said, okay, I'll do it. I think he's probably just a figurehead that is in uniform. And instead of saying Mark Kingston is running the program beginning in 26, he's actually running the program today. It just happens to be the associate head coach will have more power and more say at Creighton in 2025 than the actual head coach.
Ed still gets paid well. So there's that.
Well, and that's part of it. Here's the other thing, Gary. We're going to get to Sam here in a moment. Here's the thing that I also am curious. What you just laid out there, and you and I are in agreement, it has to be the role. How do you explain that to your roster? How do you go over that with your roster and they walk away feeling, okay, this will work?
Well, you probably recruit they still have some talent left on the roster. It's not like everybody left. And there's 13 in the portal.
Yeah.
Vitak found a home yesterday. He's going to Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
You probably recruit a lot of, you're going to have a young roster next year. So guys are here for more than just a cup of coffee. If you're not going, are you going to get more than a 1-year portal guy?
Yeah.
It'll be a challenge to put together this roster, but you're putting together the 25 roster with 26 in mind, that you might be a little bit young, but you want guys that have multiple years of eligibility. But they're going to know, and then they're going to know next year if this is for them or not, because they will actually be playing for the guy that's the associate head coach instead of the head coach.
Yeah, I think it's so awkward, especially in a long college baseball season. Even some of the best teams, they go through that bout of adversity, maybe a bad week, a bad month, whatever it is. And is there the whole, hey, don't worry, it's going to be my show next year. So, there's certain things.
No, I think you establish that right away.
I hope
so that everybody in that room knows how this works, and then how this is supposed to work. Like, this because you're doing Creighton games. Since 2012, how many times has Creighton baseball been to the NCAA tournament?
Once.
But what is the general impression?
That they're a successful baseball team, I guess, for the most part. That they're.
I would hope there's now a transition, because again, I really like this hire. The exception is we're going to the NCAA tournament. Not just we were good in the midweek and we beat and we beat
Right.
Nebraska.
Right.
We are the UConn of our conference in the Midwest. That we're in the NCAA tournament, we're winning games. Been in the NCAA tournament one time since 2012. But if you stop somebody on the street, they would think, oh man, Creighton baseball is really successful. And Ed has had success.
Yeah.
But the success I would judge on how many times you get into the NCAA tournament.
Yep. I don't disagree with that at all.
On one bid league, I get it.
Yeah.
Get it. But 2012 to 2024, one time.
Yep.
One time.
In a year that you've now done this twice, go back to 2019, where you've been undefeated in midweek play as well. The real quickly here, the other part, the whole goal, I don't want to say the whole goal, but a big part of how it was sold when we knew about Ed's retirement after 25 was going to be a better outcome than what 24 was. Gary, I got my doubts. I have a hard time believing that you can put together a roster the way that they're going to have to do this, and that's going to lead you to a postseason bid. I mean, I obviously, the very least, you want to get back to the Big East tournament, and I think that's more doable than the NCAA tournament. But as far as having Ed go out the way that I know a lot of people would like to see him, I have a tough time believing that you're going to be able to put together a roster that you're going to be able to do that.
And that's unfortunate because Ed is one of the good guys. Yeah. And you don't want to see his last year wearing that uniform, which, I mean, he is the guy that I associate with Creighton baseball.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to see him go out that way where it's super choppy and it's not good. And, you know, you hear stories of, well, Ed, they just make Ed sit in the corner. I don't know. It'll be a fascinating exercise, but, you know, the Mark Kingston era can't start in 26. It actually has to start today. And I know he's going to talk to the media and, you know, people ask those questions about how is this going to work?
Yeah.
And he may not have all the answers, but I think it's his show. He's by title the associate head coach. In reality, he's the head coach today.
Yeah, and that needs to be known amongst the roster. That's my biggest takeaway there. And as Gary mentioned, he'll speak to the media at 11 a.m. Going to take a break. We're going to talk to Sam McCune of the Omaha World Herald. Coming up next, it's Mornings with Sharp and Handley here on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, this is a great time of the year. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on. You might be thinking about vacation. You might have weddings going on. You got a lot of other different things. You know what you need to do? You need to stop by Lindley Clothing. My good friends over at Lindley Clothing, where that great staff, they'll help you find anything you need for that special occasion. Matter of fact, I had an event. I had an MC. I went in there and I said I needed a sport coat. And you know what? They said, let's show you these. So I tried them on and, a little bit bigger guy. I found something. Now you can find something even better at Lindley Clothing because right now they have their buy one, get one, 50% off sale on suits and sports coats. It is what we like to call in the biz, the BOGO 50% sale. This is how it works. It's pretty simple. You already know about Lindley Clothing and how fantastic they are outfitting us men. They make our fit rad. Well, buy one suit or sport coat at regular price and get a suit or sport coat of equal or lesser value, 50% off. Now, the sale is going on right now, and I mean right now, right when they open the doors today, it is on like Donkey Kong, but it ends with a bang on July 3rd. They're also celebrating the expansion of Lindley Clothing. They got the additional well-suited. So while you're there, peruse and make sure you take advantage of their buy one, get one, 50% off sale on suits and sports coats. It's conveniently located in the Linden Market at 132nd and West Dodge.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. The Connor Happer Show.
Chris writes in on Twitter, there will be no missing Angel Hernandez. Absolutely none. He's terrible, and I'm truly happy to see him go. Do you at all feel bad for a human man, Angel Hernandez, who just so happens to be just awful at his job? Do you at all feel like, all right, he's retiring, we should just let it go, rather than pile on, happy to see you go, rotten hell, you know?
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Funplex Water Park and Rides from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Tuesday is a severe weather day with potential strong to severe storms impacting the metro mainly after 5 p.m. Large hail damage and wind gusts are the main threats with any stronger storms. Flash flooding potential as well as heavy rain chances will stick around into the nighttime hours. Otherwise, expect a warm, humid, and windy day. South winds gusting up to 35 miles per hour with highs around 90. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
1620, The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time Saving Traffic Center. There was a crash on 84th and L causing delays between Q and I-80. You can expect heavier traffic on southbound I-480 from Martha to I-80. Over on westbound I-80, delays on the exit ramp 244th. Heavy traffic on eastbound Dodge from I-680 to 90th and on westbound Dodge from 72nd to 84th. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Just be sure to buckle up, drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
Time-saving traffic is brought to you by Omaha Transmission.
If you're having transmission problems, you need a specialist. Call Omaha Transmission and see why people have been recommending them for almost 20 years.
Introducing Modern Real Estate, the game changer in Nebraska's property market. With a competitive 2% commission rate, we're making buying, selling, and investing more affordable and transparent than ever. Our experienced agents blend local expertise with cutting-edge technology to provide top-notch personalized service to all clients. Don't settle for less when you can save big without compromising. Visit modernrealestateco.com and experience the future of real estate today. Modern Real Estate, redefining the way you do real estate.
Progressive presents good news, bad news, dumb news, then great news. Good news. A letter in your mailbox says you could save money bundling. You saw it after your teenager backed the car into the mailbox. Dumb news. A new mailbox, basically a box on a stick, costs up to $400. Great news. You decide to see if you could save money bundling at progressive.com and go with paperless mail instead. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
The Nebraska Lottery presents 5 reasons the dollar bill is so great. First, it's always there when you need it. You can always find one folded up in your pocket just waiting to get you out of a jam. Second, it's humble. It doesn't strut around like a 50 or 100 waiting for people to compliment it. Third, it works hard. Whether you need more money for a tip or extra detergent at the laundromat, a dollar bill sure comes in handy. Fourth, it beats lugging around 100 pennies. And fifth, you can use it to buy a Lotto America ticket from the Nebraska Lottery. Lotto America only costs $1. It has a $2 million starting jackpot with drawings every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And you can add the All-Star bonus for an additional $1 to multiply any prize won. So visit a Nebraska Lottery retailer today and buy a Lotto America ticket. Sounds like someone tried to pay with 100 pennies. So sad.
Lotto America top prize odds 1 in 26 million.
News Talk 1290 Coil is your radio home for Omaha Storm Chasers baseball, proud AAA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Tune in to hear every pitch, every hit, and every out as the Chasers play at Warner Park and across the International League in 2024. With the voice of the Omaha Storm Chasers, Nick Batters, on News Talk 1290 Coil.
Tune in at 1290 Coil all season long for your Omaha Storm Chasers baseball as they take on the International League. It's Storm Chasers baseball on 1290 Coil.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Since 1972, family-owned and locally roasted Host Coffee Service has been roasting the finest coffee for businesses and restaurants. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Hi, I'm Jason Hansen, a former CIA officer. In these uncertain times, with rising geopolitical tensions and skyrocketing inflation, protecting your financial future is crucial. That's why I trust Advantage Gold for all my precious metals investments. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-GOLD for a 100% free gold guide to see exactly how gold can safeguard your wealth. Again, call Advantage Gold today at 800-900-GOLD.
Paid for by Advantage Gold. Performance may vary. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Always consult your financial and tax professional.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
College World Series action gets underway. 1 o'clock today. Elimination games. Elimination Tuesday. Florida State, UNC at 1. And then you've got Kentucky, Florida at 6 o'clock. And we are crossing our fingers that we see
God
two
bless
games.
you.
Yes. Are you okay, Sam? Sam McHugh of the Omaha World Herald.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Just sneezing a couple times.
Yeah. How's it going, man? How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah. I mean, I think we're in what you call the dog days at the CWS.
Yep.
So we're getting into those. I think we're into day 5, and so now it's about which teams can kind of retain their focus and retain their pitching staff depth, and kind of power through to the end. And this is a hard part of the CWS for everybody. The media's got to power through. We may have a rain delay tonight, so it's going to be interesting to watch.
One of us. One of us. Hey, but here's the trade-off, Sam. You're absolutely right, because now we're on day number 5, and we're starting to grind through it, and we're down to 6 teams, and we'll be down to the Final 4 after tonight. But it also coincides with Husker Camp Countdown, which started today with number 50. Now, I'll ask you a vague question. Feel free to tell everybody when they can expect Dylan Raiola to show up as the number 1 on this list. Was this a more difficult choice this year than last year to get down to 50?
No,
Okay.
it wasn't. And I'll tell you why, and I explain it in the first column. There's actually a lot of knowns on this team. I think I guess I could say, number 50 was hard because there's some honorable mentions that could have been on there. But last year you had so many new guys and so much transition that, you kind of had a hard time figuring out who was going to be who and where they were going to be. That's not the case this year. This is an old team with a lot of known quantity, or they brought in guys that are going to play. I mean, Jamal Banks is going to play. And so this is this countdown. I think people, they'll probably hit about 40 and they're like, yeah, everybody from here, I'm going to know who they are. And I'm going to, unless somebody gets hurt, and they're out for the season, but they're going to know. Like this is a team that has a very defined group of players. There are going to be 2 or 3 true freshmen, I think, in the top 40, and that's it. One of them. I mean, obviously, Rail is one of them, but this is not a young team. This is an old team that has very old offensive and defensive lines. I mean, very seasoned. The starting tight end is a 4th-year junior. The backup tight end is a 4th-year junior. 2 of the top 4 receivers are 5th-year guys. Your running back is going to be a third year sophomore or a 4th-year junior, or Ramir Johnson, who's a 6th-year senior. So, there's a ton of guys on this team, and anytime a team is old, you know what? They need to win. This is a team that needs to win football games. This isn't we'll see you next year. That was last year's team, and they blew that because they picked the wrong quarterback and they turned the ball over 31 times. This year's team does not get an excuse or a hall pass because they're playing a true freshman. They need to win.
And I'm glad you brought up last year and not figuring out quarterback, because I know Jeff Sims was number 1 last year. And in going into it, look, we talked about it after spring that there were some turnovers. I don't even think Jeff Sims was the one who threw the interceptions in the spring game, but we knew that was a little bit of his MO coming from Georgia Tech. And it feels like it was so long ago, Sam, and looking at how the quarterback position has changed from the time that this was written about him to what we saw in that carousel throughout the season, but also the excitement and the possibilities of what Dylan Raiola represents. When you go back to reading into Jeff Sims and just the overall breakdown of him, do you ever find yourself just thinking, man, there was so much there, but were there things that we all, I'm not just saying you or anybody at the Omaha World, we all should have seen right there that maybe would give us that caution?
Yeah, I think, hindsight being 2020, we wrote about his turnovers and what an issue they were. I think Nebraska's hope was that they were going to be able to run the football with him and be sort of a zone read team, and that they would have access to Xavier Betts is a deep threat, and Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, who got hurt in the first half of that game. And then the other thing is that the first 2 games of the year were on the road. I think Matt Rule has even kind of said, "Hey, we went into those environments and they were pretty crazy." And I think he kind of lost his confidence. Then he got hurt. Then when he came back, he came back, I think, in the Purdue game, and then he played extensively in the Maryland game, and just the carelessness with which he played, it just spoke to the lack of confidence and aptitude for the game at that moment. Now he's going to Arizona State, and he may have a perfectly good year. I'm rooting for him because he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
But he when he went into the season, I think he had some confidence. Then some things went wrong in Minnesota, and then things went really wrong at Colorado. And I think the moments were just a little too big for him. He hadn't played in that many big games, especially games where they were expected to win. When Georgia Tech played in a big game, they were supposed to lose. And so I think the pressure was off. I think at Nebraska, the pressure was really on. He didn't handle it well. And as a result, we never saw anywhere near peak Jeff Sims because I just don't think his confidence or his execution was there.
Not the most valuable. Who is the most important offensive lineman in 2024?
Good question.
I think Ben Scott's important, although I think his backup is good. Probably Bryce Benhardt, because he's your right tackle. You play a lot of your run game right-handed, so you want to have a very good right tackle in this sport. And in the NFL, the left tackle becomes more important, but there's reasons for that. And so I think Bryce Benhardt, if he gets hurt, then you're probably playing our number 50, who is Tyler Kanak. And, I think that would be, you could also play Turner Corcoran there. Turner can play there, but I think they would love to rotate Turner inside if they can, or play him inside. So I think Benhardt's up there. I think the center is the most important lineman in college football. Of all the 5 lines. I think if you have a good center, you got a good chance. Nebraska's got a very good center. They're going to be in very good shape there because I think he can command the offense and run it. So that's an important position, and Nebraska happens to be good at it. However, his backup is pretty good. I think Justin Evans is going to be a very good center and at the collegiate level too.
Sam, and you go with some of the honorable mentions, and the very first one, and I think it brings up a fascinating discussion, is the QB3, if you will, because we've seen several seasons now where not one, not two, but even in occasions, we saw it last year too, 3 quarterbacks have played. And it's interesting because I think a lot of people would look at a depth chart right now and say, yep, Dylan is 1. Heinrich Harburg, given his experience, would be number 2. Danny Kalen would be a guy that would fit in there. But as you note, and as we've talked about here recently, they're still looking at who maybe that quarterback could be, or what the finality of that quarterback room will look like. What's your overall read on just the significance of that position?
If they can sign somebody that they feel is like really capable of being the backup, a seasoned guy who has played a lot of football at a different level, maybe it's Jalen Gramstad or somebody else, then you can actually create a little bit more positional versatility with Harburg. Like there's some things that you can do with him. You can run him. You can maybe play him at tight end. People who have listened to me or read me for a long time know that I'm a large advocate of having a wildcat quarterback on your team. Like, period. This is what you do when you get inside the 10. You're not trying to throw backline passes. You put your jumbo set in there and you run the football. But that would give them some positional versatility if they found a guy that they feel like they could trust. Simultaneously, if they don't find him, then Harburg's probably your number 2, and you kind of got to protect him. Like you got to kind of keep him over there on the sideline and clipboard and the cap, because I don't think that the end goal would be to play Kalen all season long if Erlo were to get banged up. Knock on wood. I don't think they want to burn a couple of red shirts there. So I think it'd be helpful to get a fourth quarterback in here, sure, and I think they're trying to do that. There's not a ton of guys out there. There was a guy that, what was his name? Glenn, who was back up around here. He played down at McNeese, but they didn't. He ended up going to Lindenwood, and he would have been an example. Nate Walters would have been an example. He's down at D2, but I think he stayed there. So, this is the way they want to roll. I think Glenn Thomas is going to do really good work over the course of time. I do. I think he's come in. He's offered a ton of quarterbacks in 26. It's a different approach than what they had initially. Thomas is going to offer about 13 guys, and he is going to work all these guys and try to get the very best guy they can. And I think Latif, who's going through Elite 11, is a good option too. And but the previous approach before he got there was, well, we're going to offer one guy, and then we're going to work with him, and then if he decides to go somewhere else, we're going to offer another guy. And I think Glenn Thomas is going to come in and do things differently. But the quarterback setup for just this year is interesting. It's interesting. I think Dylan Rose got to stay healthy. I think it's important that he stays healthy, and if he does, I think they're going to have a pretty nice season.
But you wrote about something on Sunday, and I agree with this, Sam, is that the offense, the way it's going to be set up, is more quarterback friendly, that if Nebraska needed QB2 or QB3 to play a significant amount in a game, they wouldn't have a fall off the mountain moment where they'd at least be able to keep their head above water, because the onus is not on the quarterback all the time making plays.
Right.
So I think they're set up. Yeah. I think if that happens, that's you don't want that scenario. But if it happens, they're not going to crater like last year and have to adjust basically everything on the fly.
I agree with you. I agree. Now people got to stay healthy. I mean, last year they had this horrible circumstance where Johnson and Irvin and Garcia Castaneda and Washington, everybody got hurt. So there's that. But I do think there's also, this idea of they added some more players. They certainly added, the two receivers, and they added Dowdell. And so they feel like they recruited some young freshman tight end, including Carter Nelson and other players who can help them. So, I think they hope certainly that they're able to play better around the quarterback and get things going there. And I think the addition of Glenn Thomas, if Rilla gets banged up and Harburg has to come in, I think the picture will be better. I think it'll be better than, quarterback, offensive coordinator going up to the box, and then, the head coach kind of coaching the quarterback. It was just not an ideal setup for the last however many games of the season. And now I think they'll have a setup where Glenn Thomas is handling the quarterback coaching. Matt Rule doesn't have to do a lot of that on the sidelines, and Marcus Satterfield can call the plays from the box.
Sam McCooney, Omaha World Herald, joining us. Sam, and as we continue to count down the 50 players, just this roster as a whole, if there is to be a year 1 to year 2 jump with the player themselves, what of this coaching staff, what we've already maybe seen with our own eyes, and maybe the things we haven't seen, whether it's physically or mentally, where do you think the biggest jump is made based on what has happened in the offseason and how these guys are preparing for the upcoming season? Where would your confidence be that you'd see the biggest improvement from these guys?
Well, I can tell you that the biggest improvement needs to be in just overall game management on offense. They need to turn the ball over 11 fewer times in the regular season, go from 31 to 20. I think that's one area where I think you would see them need to improve. I'm not sure that I could identify an area where I'm certain they'll improve, other than I think the defense can remain where it's at, and I think they can get much better at managing the offense without turning the ball over. In other words, what you do is you live with a punt. You live with a punt. The back-breaking play at Colorado is the third down play where Sims is rolling to his right for all the drop snaps. The back-breaking play is late in the first half. He's rolling to his right, doesn't have to throw that ball to Padoni. He throws it. They pick it. They score a touchdown, and they go from 3-0 to 10-0 in that moment.
Yep.
And that was a huge play. And so let's say you go into the second half and you're only trailing 6-0. And then Jeff Sims runs for a touchdown and it's 7-6. Well, that's a whole different thing than what was going on. So, you've got to try to prevent those plays. I think they will. I actually think Dylan Raiola will. I think he'll do a better job of safeguarding that. But I also think they'll have more answers, like Gary was referring to. They'll have more answers on offense for some of the things they need to do, and it won't just always be, okay, it's 3rd and 11.
Yeah.
Make a play. They'll have a better answer for it. So that's the area where they've got to get better, is the overall management of the offense. And I think Glenn Thomas's hiring is a big step in that direction.
Camp Countdown taking place. Sam, we look forward to it. Always appreciate your work. I'm sure we'll see you downtown here in the days ahead. Appreciate you, man.
I'll be there today.
I love it. Hunkering down with all of us. Thank you, Sam.
Take care.
So there, as you mentioned, Tyler Knack is the number 50 on this list. They count down to 1. These are guys that have the most impact. So Raiola will be high up here. There'll be quite a few newcomers that I think will be in the first 25. But I will tell you, if you're going to go off the mindset of doing a top 50 countdown, and something that Sam just said about guys that can have an impact, Tristan Alvano and Brian Buschini need to be in your top 25.
Yep.
Because Sam just referred to something of, cutting your losses, saying it's okay to punt here. We're going to get the ball back because we like our defense. Probably in a 3 and out, we're going to get the ball back and we're going to have good field position. But we're going to win a field position battle where we put the other team on their heels because we're winning that phase. We're able to win all 3 phases. Is Buschini needs to be better. If you also are like, you know what? We feel like our offense doesn't need to just go crazy. And my God, if we don't get into the red zone, we're in trouble. We need to have enough confidence with our play calling that, we're going to take a crack at the end zone. But if we don't get it into the end zone, in the red zone, that we're okay and we're confident enough that, we tried for 3 downs. Here we go on 4th down. We're going to put a 3-burger on the board. So I think at least in the top 25, and maybe even closer to 1 than 25, needs to be the 2 specialists for Nebraska.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I want to get back into this. We got to hit a break here, but I do want to get back into this because I think everything that you're laying out right there just goes to show you playing to the strength of what this team is, at least initially. But I think it is a very good point about what any other quarterback would come into compared to a year ago, even previous years, where, as you said, not that steep drop off of a mountain type feeling. That's a good discussion I want to get into. We're also going to be talking to Brian Christopherson coming up at 9:00. We'll get into some college baseball and some of the NBA finals, the Boston Celtics coronation before we get out of here. As we get into hour number 3, we're back right after this here on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
Watching a ball game at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is pretty awesome. Oscar's offers the MLB package, so your team is always on their upgraded audio-video system, and nothing is better than watching the game with a cold frosty one, Oscar's Pizza, or award-winning char-buffed wings. And with daily lunch and dinner specials, it's really a no-brainer. So get ready to watch your favorite team play ball at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and takeout at 162nd and Maple.
If you're planning on popping the question this year, now is the time to buy the engagement ring at Greenberg's and receive 20% off a men's or ladies' wedding band during Greenberg's Wedding Band Extravaganza. And you'll be entered to win a free honeymoon with airfare and hotel included. Heck, even if you already have your engagement ring, Greenberg's will still give you 20% off of his or her wedding band and enter you to win the free honeymoon. Greenberg's has a stunning wedding band selection from Love Story, Crown Ring, Benchmark, and M-Fit, with 20% off for a very limited time. 20% off wedding bands and potentially a free honeymoon during Greenberg's Wedding Band Extravaganza. Like I said, now is the time to buy that engagement ring and wedding band from Greenberg's Jewelers, a cut above the rest. Westroads Mall. Some restrictions apply.
Are Nebraska craft beers and ciders important to you? Whether you just love Nebraska brewed beers and ciders or you're a full-fledged craft brewery, there are benefits to membership for anyone with the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild. Their sole mission is to foster and help grow the Nebraska-centric brewing community. Become a member today at Nebraska.beer and help advance the craft beer and cider industry in the state of Nebraska. Find out more about the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild at Nebraska.beer.
Don't answer that. It's another roof gypsy ringing the doorbell. They are attempting to capitalize on the misfortune that Mother Nature has thrown your way. Make the right call to a trusted company that has faithfully served the Omaha area for over 35 years. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
For roofing, siding, and gutter repair, make the right call to John Higgins Weather Guard.
John Higgins Weather Guard, the home of the Rooferees. Make the right call.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Progressive presents 10 things on a plumber's to-do list that are harder than getting a small business insurance quote. Waking up for 5 a.m. plumbing disasters, finding out why water is pouring from the ceiling, replacing a pipe in a home from the 1800s, then dealing with invoices or your awkward apprentice or that really weird smell, and then there's breathing and eating, and of course, clogs. But the easiest thing on any small business owner's to-do list, seeing if you could save on the business insurance that's right for you. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers.
That's the sound of steak searing in its juices on your new pellet grill. You heard that right. The Weber Searwood Pellet Grill can smoke low and slow at 180 degrees all the way to a high heat sear at 600. With the Weber Searwood, you can cook on the direct flame over the full grate sear zone. You'll hear the gasp of amazement from friends and family when you serve the food. Cooking with the Weber Searwood Pellet Grill just sounds delicious and tastes even better.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Omaha Baseball Village coverage gets underway at 10 o'clock. It'll be myself and Happer out there for the before we get in. Yeah, and then we get into the Florida State UNC elimination game at 1 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock tonight, Kentucky and Florida. Gary is back in the mix. It'll be Mike, John, and Gary during the games. And yeah, as we told you, we're holding out hope. That's all.
Yeah. Watching the weather, on TV.
It's getting better, right? It's getting better, right?
Well, I mean, right now it's nice.
Right? It's going to be good.
Yeah, when they put up the map of eastern Nebraska and western Iowa, and you can't read where it says Omaha.
Oh,
later tonight. Yeah.
Oh. Well,
hey, if they bag it early, then everyone can adjust accordingly.
I got to tell a quick story before we hit a break. We're talking a little more Husker football here in the 8 o'clock hour as well. So this was, I remember I told you about being on the headset and I could hear, the commercial breaks and the guys talking off the air. And this was when Sean McDonough was going through a rain delay. And Sean is, for anybody who's met him, and Gary, I
can watch him tonight on ABC.
You have too. He's just a nice dude, but he's a little feisty guy. And this is where my jaded outlook for making a decision for tonight's game comes from. We were watching the radar. It was North Carolina LSU playing in a winner's bracket game at Rosenblatt Stadium. And I don't believe they had started. They didn't start the game yet, but you could just see the radar. It was just kicking a bunch of stuff up north, and it wasn't going to end for a very long time. And everybody who was just, again, untrained meteorologists look at Doppler like, yeah, that's not good. We're going to be here for a very long time. And I could hear Sean McDonough during every break. They say, all right, Sean, we need you to give us another update during the delay and just let people know we're still waiting for a word. And each time they asked him to do that, the rage and the frustration he had with the NCAA in not making that call. I mean, there was profanity. And then all of a sudden, All right, Sean, we're going back to you in 5 seconds. And he's like, and then all of a sudden, we're back in Rosenblatt Stadium waiting for Mother Nature.
Like Die Hard, eat it, Harvey.
Hey, but I don't think they made a decision until like 9 o'clock. And this was it's supposed to be a 6 o'clock start. And at 9 o'clock, they finally said, yeah, you know what? We're going to push this to tomorrow. We're like, you could have made this decision 3 hours ago. So
sounds like me.
I get
I want to be optimistic, but I've watched a couple of different weather forecasts, and it doesn't look good for that 6 o'clock game. There'll be a lot that goes into it because you have 2 games tomorrow.
Right.
I think the 1 o'clock game, we're fine. But that 6 o'clock game is going to be a little bit choppy. The whole thing there, from my previous dealings with trying to make decisions on rain and talking to managers and umpires when I was in minor league baseball, is the only thing they want communication. They want to know what's going on. When are we going to start? What's the delay? But don't let us get our pitchers hot and then shut us down.
Yep.
Like if we're not going to start at 6 o'clock, tell me that, because I'm not going to get my guys up. And then you give me 45-minute warning, and then I'll get my guys up. We can go through our routine, but don't let me get a pitcher hot and then have to shut him down. And you knew this was going to happen. If it happens during the game that we're playing and then it rains, I get it, but not beforehand. So, there's a lot that goes into it, and I'm sure they will take that into account, but they also have to take into account you would be playing 3 games on Wednesday, and how do the logistics work with all of that? But more baseball is better than no baseball, fellas.
That's true.
Yeah,
it's
Nick.
baseball. It's a College World Series. It's Omaha. It's day 5. It's the SEC.
It just means more.
Damn, Gary.
It's not snowing.
You just know how to bring it home. And you're gonna be the guy. I need you to constantly text us as we're doing like 5 hours of OBV coverage down there too. Because you're going to be the man that's in the know on all that stuff.
Bucket hat and all.
Hey, maybe Connor got Phil Steele in his mail yesterday.
Ooh, there we go.
Yeah,
because the
Bible is starting to arrive.
It's making its way out.
The religion of college football is pretty strong right now.
If they didn't like our what makes a good season for all Big Ten team conversation the last 2 days, they're going to love the full 1-page start on the Phil Steele going all the way through. Oh, yeah. I hope you let Josh know and everybody else through you be aware of Rutgers. I did say that too.
Thank you.
I said the Rutgers is a 50-50 game, and I said I'm fading Maryland, but I'm taking Rutgers in the over too. I think that is going to be a 50-50. That's going to be tough. Rutgers. Yep. I'm with you. I said a good season for them would be 7 wins, but they are going to be a feisty out as well.
That the game Nebraska should wear all black then?
25th anniversary of Sopranos.
Yeah.
It only seems right.
Yeah. Speaking of Big Ten football and the Huskers, good conversation about the 50 countdown, but also there was, I like what you had to say about 2 players in particular, but also what would a second, third string quarterback come into this year offensively when it compares to the previous few years? I want to get into that. We're going to be talking to Brian Christopherson in the 9 o'clock hour as well as we continue. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live. Post Coffee Studio. This is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time Saving Traffic Center. Starting to see heavier traffic in the Omaha Metro on this Tuesday morning. Slow goings on eastbound Dodge from 180th to 244th. Delays on northbound JFK from Chandler to the I-80, I-480 interchange. Heavy traffic on westbound I-80 from 60th to 72nd. And delays on the exit ramp on westbound I-80 towards 144th. Be aware of heavy foot traffic around the downtown area due to the College World Series festivities taking place throughout the rest of the day. Be sure to buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Spring, it's the reward for surviving another winter. Fernando's, it's the reward for any day that ends in Y. Great Mexican food, awesome margaritas, and a wonderful family atmosphere. Fernando's, Omaha's favorite Mexican for more than 30 years.
News Talk 1290 Coil is your radio home for Omaha Storm Chasers baseball, proud AAA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Tune in to hear every pitch, every hit, and every out as the Chasers play at Warner Park and across the International League in 2024. With the voice of the Omaha Storm Chasers, Nick Batters, on News Talk 1290 Coil.
Tune in to 1290 Coil all season long for your Omaha Storm Chasers baseball as they take on the International League. It's Storm Chasers baseball on 1290 Coil.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Don't answer that. It's another roof gypsy ringing the doorbell. They are attempting to capitalize on the misfortune that Mother Nature has thrown your way. Make the right call to a trusted company that has faithfully served the Omaha area for over 35 years. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
For roofing, siding, and gutter repair, make the right call to John Higgins Weather Guard.
John Higgins Weather Guard, the home of the Rooferees. Make the right call.
It's golf season, and that means it's time to start betting like a pro with the world's largest sportsbook right at your fingertips. Circa Sports Iowa. It's sports betting the way it should be. The odds makers with the lowest holds and the best odds for every tournament. Plus, high betting limits, exceptional customer service, and more. Fund and bet like a pro anywhere, anytime. It's never been easier. Get ready for all the biggest golf tournaments with Circa Sports Iowa. Visit circasports.com today. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-238-7633.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Put your coffee department in good hands with Host Coffee Service, providing direct delivery and loaned coffee equipment with service programs. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Are Nebraska craft beers and ciders important to you? Whether you just love Nebraska brewed beers and ciders or you're a full-fledged craft brewery, there are benefits to membership for anyone with the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild. Their sole mission is to foster and help grow the Nebraska-centric brewing community. Become a member today at nebraska.beer and help advance the craft beer and cider industry in the state of Nebraska. Find out more about the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild at nebraska.beer.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Maybe one of the best series theme songs. It's a good one. It's morning to Sharp and Handley, 1620 The Zone. Gary is in his home studio. We're in the 50th and Capitol. We'll be making our way out to the Omaha Baseball Village as our OBV shows. I will. This is actually a good song to roll into downtown Omaha with. Kind of a baller. Kind of a gangster.
Sure, Happer doing this, complete with a bucket hat on.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I think Connor will retire the bucket hat. Gary, are you going with the bucket hat today?
I don't know. I'm going to go regular hat today.
Regular hat? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's going to be John, Mike, and Gary on the baseball call today. We've got 2 games on the schedule, and we will see if we can get the second game in. If not, how that might look tomorrow. As Gary said, though, hey, more baseball is a good thing in Omaha. And, hey, that's true to some extent. It definitely is. Some good Husker conversation with Sam McEwen back in the 7 o'clock hour. As the Omaha World Herald, they're doing their top 50. It's the Husker Camp Countdown going on, which is another staple of this time of the year. We're talking about Tyler Kanak, but also you brought up the kicking game, Gary, which I think when we look at the consistency or lack thereof and what that has meant to this program's success and trying to get over the hump when it comes to those tight games, the little things like that, we can talk about the turnovers, and that's a huge part of it too, but also the field position, the inability to even get 3 points. And we don't need to just run down the one-score losses that Nebraska's had in some time, but all of those little things matter. But to me, and I think you bring up the biggest point of them all, you get good field goal kicking, reliable kicking, you get the opportunity to flip the field. We know what that leads to. You're playing to the strength of what this team is going to be, at least initially in 2024, and that is the defense. And I think I take it a step further, and we'll get into this conversation too as far as the offense, but you're also putting an offense that, even as excited as we are for Dylan Raiola, you're still talking about a true freshman quarterback where you don't want to put the weight of the world as far as this offense needs to be significantly better than it was a year ago. And you're the guy that has to go do that, because our inability to get points through the uprights is a big deal. So those drives need to end in the end zone. They got to have that luxury right now. So I think that's it. If you say top 25, hell, there could be a case to be made for a Tristan Alvano or Brian Bushida to be even in the top 15 right now.
So, like if you have a Phil Steele magazine and he does the Power 4 national rankings, the two lowest are quarterback and special teams. The reason he has quarterback is because you have two true freshmen in that room. He likes Raiola, if you read what Phil Steele has talked about Nebraska, but he hasn't played a game, so he has him lower down. But he has special teams. Nebraska's special teams units, not just punting and place kicking, but return game, as one of the worst in all of college football. So here's the transition. So I think they will be better. I'm not ready to go there to say they'll be better punting and place kicking. I still have faith in Tristan Alvano, because I see the arc of like a Drew Brown, who rough at times freshman year, but hit his stride sophomore from there on out and turned out to be a weapon for Nebraska. Bushini, I still can't figure out what happened last year. And, this is a big year for Ed Foley. But Nebraska has more talent on the roster that would be involved in the return game, whether it be Barney, who we saw in the spring, or I think Caleb Benning, who was a really, really good returner at Westside, could be an option there. But this is another part of the whole 2024 and making a jump. Special teams have to be better across the board, and it's not just punting or place kicking, but it has to be returning and winning field position. If you like your defense and you think you're going to have an abundance of 3 and outs, or you're going to force turnovers, then you can win field position game. I use Colorado as a prime example. And I know the defense at that point had not settled in, and they were much better throughout the middle of the year and towards the end of the year.
They're good in the first half of that game, though.
Turnovers always make a huge difference in field position. Okay. When you're turning the ball over and your punter is not good, and you have no semblance of a return game, non-existent, plus you mix in a missed field goal or two, a good offense is giving them a short field. That team you're playing against is going to put in the end zone. I don't care if you're the 85 Bears. So look at the Colorado game. And you know what the turnovers, because Sam alluded to the Colorado game in our discussion last hour. Colorado in that game had a net difference of 18.5 yards per drive. Nebraska had an average of 75.5 yards for a touchdown in that game. They had to go an average of 75.5 yards. Colorado only had to go an average of 57 yards.
Yeah.
That is, on Nebraska, that is minus 18.5. That was awful. That was just terrible. So that needs to improve, because your average field position was about the 25-yard line. Colorado's average field position was the 43-yard line. So if you can change those, even bring them closer to the mean, that's got to be worth a victory and a half, 2 victories during the course of the season. But special teams is the area where Nebraska can't be 57th in the country at the end of the year. They need to be, and I would even take mid-30s, and I think you're going to see a market improvement when it comes to wins.
You're absolutely right about Colorado, because if I remember correctly, and I'd have to go back to the Minnesota game too, but I thought even in the first half, the average start position for Nebraska compared to Minnesota, and that's where it was completely different. And if I remember, that's where we started thinking, man, this defense is, I mean, they're popping right now.
But it's also where we thought, man, Buschini doesn't look like last time we saw him.
Right. And it wasn't because every time he lined up, he was shanking it, but it was the wild inconsistencies. I mean, he would go for probably every 40+ yard punt, you would get 2 shanks. And look, that's going to happen even to your best punters, where you're going to have 1 out of maybe every 6 to 7 good punts. And again, I'm just pulling that number out of the air, but there are times that you're going to mishandle it. It comes off of your foot a little awkwardly. That's going to happen. But the majority of those, it's like a golfer. You know, if you're good at it, you're going to have accurate drives. You're going to have that one miss hit that, okay, is going to show up, but it's not going to define what you're doing. There was those inconsistencies, but you're spot on about the field position because, well, first there's the obvious of the margin for error with even a good defense, as you pointed out. Okay, if you're having to defend 50 yards of field position as opposed to 75 to 80 yards of field position, you have a little bit more room for error. But that once you start getting to midfield, that margin for error to just get into the red zone or to get into field goal range, where a lot of teams, especially in the Big Ten, that have good special teams and good field goal kickers are going to be able to take advantage of that. It's such a big part of it. And the reason that, I don't want to put words into your mouth, Gary, but the reason that I'm so fixated on this conversation right now is because the Nebraska narrative right now is that inability to win close games. These are the things right there that, like you said, a victory and a half to 2 victories right there, if you can solve that part of it. And that's even if you have an average offensive output and you have reliable special teams, which I feel like I've been banging my head against the wall for so many years now, and it doesn't seem like it's always been that problem. But right now, it does feel like this has been Nebraska's history. It wasn't that long ago that you had Alex Henry. It wasn't that long ago that you had Drew Brown, that you had guys that can drill a ball through the uprights, and you could have guys that, I mean, you go back to the late, great Sam Foltz, and who was very good, very accurate about being able to pin guys deep inside the 10, pin teams deep inside the 10. You think about the ability to do that with this team and what this defense projects to be, what a weapon that would be right now for this team.
Well, and kudos to last year. That defense was pretty good at quick change defense. But we saw as the year went on, they wore down.
Yep.
But look at the last time Nebraska played against that Iowa offense, Iowa's first touchdown, the Deacon Hill sneak, 7 plays, 51 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Then this just kind of shows you the defense and the ineptitude of the Iowa offense combined together. Then they kicked a field goal. That was a 34-yard drive to get a 28-yard field goal.
Right.
And then the turnover at the end of the game that gave Iowa a short field to put them in position to kick the game-winning field goal. That was a drive that was only 17 yards, ended up as a 38-yard field goal. So if you cut down on turnovers along with the defense and you win some field position battles, man, you're sitting in a really, really good spot. It's been a long time since Nebraska has won the field position battle, but that also is not just punters and place kickers, man. Nebraska needs to find a return game. It's ridiculous that a Power 4 school has been so inept when it comes to returning punts and kicks. I get with the philosophy on a kickoff, take the ball at the 25, but my God, they just basically roll over when it comes to punts. And I think they finally have a few guys in the program that will play with no fear, and they'll allow them to take a chance back there. Because Tom Osborne always used to say, if we start on X yard line, we're going to score 75% of the time. I mean, he was Mr. Analytic before analytics became a thing, because he would play the field position game, knowing that if you return the kickoff out to this certain point, it gives you a better option. If you return it here, it gives you a great option.
That's a great point.
Wouldn't that be a nice discussion to have? We haven't had that.
Yeah. The conceding to safe when it comes to especially the punt return game. And the example you brought up about just the Iowa and how good Nebraska's defense was able to hold them to 3, but it also, we know how atrocious that Iowa offense was. They were so bad. But that example right there goes to show you this Nebraska offense, as bad as the quarterback play was when it came to turnovers and holding the offense back in just some of the most basic functions at times, you don't have to be an electric offense to be able to survive in the Big Ten, to be able to have those moments where your defense is continuing to bail you out. Then you have the ability to get any type of punt return game whatsoever where you shorten the field. Having even as an average start time, it'd be amazing. The average start position just between your own 25 to your own 35 of 10 yards there, as opposed to conceding to safe and securing the football, which I get it. The turnovers are a big deal, but when you're letting that impact all three phases of your game, it's a major problem because you're handcuffing everything that you want to do. Because you're right. We saw the ill effects of that defense and the quick change ability just getting beat down at the end of the season, that if you're able to spark something, even when your offense is just having a bad day, that you can spark something in the return game to where you're setting up an offense that's struggling. Well, what is going to turn that light on for them in a game when they're struggling? Short field position. And even if they're able to get just one first down, maybe two, all of a sudden you're in field goal position. It's amazing. Something that seems very simple in this day and age of college football has still been a struggle for Nebraska right now. And it's one of a couple things of those one score losses, but Gary, I'm with you. It's a big thing. It's a really big thing with this team, just in its phases, the way that they function together.
Well, it'd be nice to return a punt maybe 25, 30 yards one time.
Just once.
Not a season, but one time.
Just once. You don't have to average.
Hey, by the way, did you know what the I don't know if he wandered in front of you at the Omaha Baseball Village, but I saw a former Royal, a fairly highly thought of former Kansas City Royal was at the College World Series yesterday.
Danny Tartable?
Ooh.
First name that popped in my mind.
Mark Gubicza?
Ooh. No. Not even Alex Gordon.
Who was it?
Mark Tehan.
Oh.
No, he didn't come by the Omaha Baseball Village. That jerk.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Wow.
He was walking into the stadium yesterday.
Hey, who are you on Star Watch today between Florida State, NC, and if we get to Kentucky, Florida? Are we expecting any new arrivals today?
Ashley Judd?
I don't know. Yeah, Ashley Judd, she just might be a basketball fan.
I think so. We wouldn't know because Kentucky has not been here, but yeah.
Hey, Dick, can I ask this? Like here's an observation. We're like on record pace for attendance, and
Yeah.
I think having some new teams that haven't been here for a while, whether it be North Carolina or Florida State, a newbie in Kentucky, has really helped. And we've seen more A&M and Tennessee fans than in previous stops. But does it seem like there's a lot of people? It seems to me, this is just my observation from working and watching. It's not as, I don't know. It doesn't seem as like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. There's all these people here. There's a lot of people in the stands. Again, we're on record pace. But in terms of like just buzz of, hey man, this is party central. We miss you, LSU.
We do. Okay.
We do.
And you know where I've noticed it the most? Because, the average attendance right now is just under 25,000. To be exact, it is 24,724. That is the average after last night's game. I've noticed it a lot more in Lot D is more than anything. Now, I think the Omaha Baseball Village, it's the typical, it really picks up around noon. Then right before the first game, it thins out a little bit, but then in between games, it's been extremely busy. I wouldn't say more so than what we've seen in previous years. Now, there's been years that I've been way up towards Capitol, so I didn't always breathe in the heart of it there. But as far as where I've noticed maybe not as many people, it has been in the Lot D area. Now, there's also the Lot B transformation, where maybe there's a little bit more spillover and people hanging out there. And so it's helping spread things out a little bit. I will say, though, that the biggest victory I thought was amazing because they stayed till the very end, too, was that Saturday night game after that delay. I know Saturday night is a big matchup, but the fact that you had so many butts in the seats at 10:15, and there were still a lot of butts in the seats there at a little after 1 a.m., that was impressive. Even yesterday's afternoon game, Gary, it filled up there towards the end. And now, again, people arriving late on a Monday, I thought that was impressive. So, to your point, though, Lot D is where I've noticed it's been a little more thin. And that's
stadium full, less party atmosphere.
which is that makes me sad a little bit. I like the party atmosphere. I like the party crowd. That's what I'm about. That's definitely what I'm about. Yeah.
You and Connor can bring it back this Saturday.
We'll do it. We'll do what we can. I'm going to step aside. A little bit more reaction on the NBA Finals from last night, too, and the Boston Celtics winning their 18th title. And now overstepping the Lakers when they were tied at 17. Get back to some more Husker football conversation. Brian Christopherson of Husker 24/7 Sports joins us at 9 o'clock as we continue here. Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Funplex Water Park and Rides from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Tuesday is a severe weather day with potential strong to severe storms impacting the metro mainly after 5 p.m. Large hail damage and wind gusts are the main threats with any stronger storms. Flash flooding potential as well as heavy rain chances will stick around into the nighttime hours. Otherwise, expect a warm, humid, and windy day. South winds gusting up to 35 miles per hour with highs around 90. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time Saving Traffic Center. Heads up, we got one crash on 72nd and Seward. Starting to see heavier traffic in the Omaha Metro. Slow goings on eastbound I-80 from I-680 to 72nd and on westbound I-80 from 60th to 72nd. Over on northbound I-680, there are slow goings between I-80 and Dodge. Eastbound Dodge has got heavy traffic flow between 180th and 144th. Also between I-680 and 72nd and on westbound Dodge from 72nd to 90th. Be sure to buckle up, drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
The electrical market requires your company to adjust to an ever-changing field. IBEW Local 22 gives you flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, and proven training programs. Call Bob at IBEW Local 22 for details at 402-980-7596.
It's easy to see the common signs of transmission trouble.
If your engine revs before it falls into gear. If it seems to switch gears for no reason. So watch for the signs. Certified transmission, the job done right at the right price.
I'm Ryan Osted. Golf is great because it can be whatever you want it to be. If you want to go out and have a competitive 18 holes, you can make it that. If you want to go out and have a scramble and just have the time of your life, if you want to have a charity golf tournament to raise money for some great cause, you can make it that. It is flexible to be whatever you need it to be at that particular moment in your life. And I've needed golf to be different things at different points in my life. And I'm certainly thankful that I was able to learn the game as a kid and continue to play it now as an adult.
Play better, have fun, and shop Osted's.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Since 1972, family-owned and locally roasted Host Coffee Service has been roasting the finest coffee for businesses and restaurants. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
Introducing Modern Real Estate, the game changer in Nebraska's property market. With a competitive 2% commission rate, we're making buying, selling, and investing more affordable and transparent than ever. Our experienced agents blend local expertise with cutting-edge technology to provide top-notch personalized service to all clients. Don't settle for less when you can save big without compromising. Visit modernrealestateco.com and experience the future of real estate today. Modern Real Estate, redefining the way you do real estate.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Going to have Eddie Murphy on the morning show. Are you, Gary? I know you like the Beverly Hills Cops franchise. Is that going to be a must see in the Sharp household?
No.
No? Oh, come on.
I love the original.
Yeah.
But I don't think when Axel Foley comes back on July 3rd, I'm going to postpone my plans to watch it. I will probably watch it. I'm a big fan of Eddie Murphy. I think he's one of the greatest comedians of all time. But I'm very loyal to the OG, and I just, in my mind, I can't wrap my, around that Axel Foley is doing Axel Foley things again.
Yeah, Jimmy had a sobering reminder of Inspector Todd. I said, "Oh yeah, is he going to be in this one?" And then he reminded me that Inspector Todd, he died.
Ellis DeWald killed him.
Ellis DeWald, yep, killed him at Wonderworld, right? Yeah, at Wonderworld. Damn it! So we will not have Inspector Todd. Although I think they should just see if we all forgot about that and just bring him back anyway. Sometimes you just got to challenge the audience a little bit. Did you take anything away from Rory's statement yesterday?
As we were talking yesterday, he's a man that needs a break, and
yes,
I think he looked in the mirror and he realized that as he was out with his reconciled wife and their daughter yesterday in Florida. They went to an aquarium. That he needed some time away from golf, and he needs some Rory time. So I applaud him for that. I still think he's the face of golf, and he should not have sped away. But he made the right decision because he made the decision to take care of Rory McIlroy, and Rory McIlroy, the golfer, can wait a little bit. Which, I mean, he's under a lot of pressure. You're a guy that's gotten a lot of positive press, and now he's going through things that don't have to do with a 9-iron in his hand. People are wondering what's going on. There's rumors that he was, messing around with somebody else. So I thought it was naughty. I thought it was the right move, and it was a well worded statement. And now we can move on, and people will look forward to when Rory comes back to play golf, and I imagine that will be at the final major over in Europe.
Yep, he will defend his Scottish Open title right before Royal Troon, and then he will be at the British Open.
Taggart's in it.
Taggart is in it. Okay. Hey, Taggart's in it. Still nothing, Gary. Come on. You got Taggart.
What's his name? If Jack Sparrow or Harlow, whatever the hell his name is, shows up, I'm out.
Is Judge Reinhold in it?
True.
What was that? Rosewood?
Yes, Billy.
Yeah, Billy Rosewood. Yeah, you got to have them all back.
So it looks like more of the scenes are quote unquote Detroit.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Than Los Angeles. Yeah,
I'm into that. That's good.
I see he's wearing, man. Eddie. But see, Eddie's recent movies have been kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, that's true, to say the least.
Why is Donkey in a cop movie?
What was the it wasn't Daddy Daycare, but where he
talks to the animals?
No, they're running like a daycare. Was it Daddy? No. Daddy Daycare was Arnold Schwarzenegger, wasn't it? Or am I completely making that up? Maybe it was Daddy Daycare. I don't know.
He was, yeah. I mean, we're talking about 20 years ago, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Daddy Daycare was Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that wasn't
Eddie Murphy Raw was also Eddie Murphy, Nick.
Yeah.
Good family program.
Coming to America 2 wasn't bad. I didn't mind that one.
Does it feel like Eddie Murphy Raw is about 40 years old?
Yes. Because I'm 45 and I feel like, I was very, very young. Then I had no business watching that. But God, I love my parents.
Could Eddie Murphy recreate that stand-up?
Oh, I don't know. Man, it requires some energy.
So Eddie Murphy in the late 80s, because, I mean, the majority of that stand-up was about sex and women.
Yep.
Eddie Murphy's life is completely different in 2024 when it comes to women in his life and his family. I mean, that was the young Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was scathing and it was hilarious. And I mean, everybody was fair game in Raw.
Yeah.
Now, 40 years later, we look at Eddie Murphy and go, man, I want the Eddie Murphy Raw to come back. And he's going, nope. This is the Eddie Murphy that is a family man, that is a businessman, highly successful. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did want to get to okay. What was his last movie? I'm drawing a blank here.
He did with what's his name? Jonah Hill. I think that was his last official movie.
Because the last movie I saw him in was the sequel to Coming to America, which was that pre-COVID?
So he did Coming to America, and then he did You People.
Okay. Yep.
And then he did, like everybody does, a Christmas movie. Candy Cane Lane.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
With Lacey Shea Bear. She's in all of those movies.
Yes. That is actually a good point. It's a very good point. Did you guys realize this was an interesting stat from the game last night between Finals MVP Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum? That was their 107th playoff game together. Good Lord. They have been together for a long, long time.
Well, unless anything changes, the Celtics are committed to about $440+ million to both of those guys for a while.
Yep. And at least they finally got that return on investment there, too. You said something when we were talking about the game yesterday about a big night for Jason Tatum. This could be a big night for Jason Tatum. Did it seem like, I would ask you guys, because you watch more of the regular season than I do, he was everywhere. I mean, I don't want to say he takes nights off, but I think a lot of people kind of pointed to that last night of Jason Tatum. This is going to be a big night, big opportunity for him. This is a time for him to step out into that spotlight. He almost, that performance last night, he almost backdoors his way into the Finals MVP when we already knew it was going to be Jaylen Brown. Man, he was just, the emotion too. It wasn't just his overall game, the emotion after every single play. It's one thing for people in the media to talk about what type of night it could potentially be for Jason Tatum. It was almost as if he was putting that on himself. He just, that was as wired and emotional that I've seen him when I've watched him play, especially at the playoff level. Like it was a bbig deal to him last night.
He was active. I mean,
very much.
I think I kind of knew he would be an integral part. Here's the thing. Just because you're the best team on the best team in the NBA does not mean you're the best player in the league.
Right.
And, he's a punching bag because of the Celtics. And that, what I just said, is if you're the best player on the best team, then people think you should be the best player in the NBA. And he's not the best player in the NBA. But last night he was active and he got going early. He takes some of the most mind-boggling shots when he doesn't have to. He makes basketball more difficult than it needs to be because he's way too good. And I don't know if sometimes he's trying to be something that he's not. But last night, he was just a guy that took everything that was given to him, and he was red hot, and he was distributing the basketball, he was rebounding, and they had no answer for him. And, I thought maybe that late run would he'd become the MVP, but he got his ring. It's the one thing I've noticed as we see more and more teams across professional sports that when a particular athlete and a really, really good athlete gets that first ring and they finally achieve a title, just the raw emotion of the relief of they don't have to hear that anymore. Like Tatum does not have to hear that he doesn't have a ring anymore because now he hands over that title to Luka, for example. But just we'll see that tonight with some guys from the Panthers that are known that have been in it that haven't won a ring that are considered pretty good, all of a sudden they got a ring and they can just go, oh, finally. We see that in football. We see that, Matthew Stafford finally got a ring. Whew. Now I'm not the guy that's labeled as, oh, he was really good but doesn't have a ring. And I noticed that last night with a Tatum especially, and I know he had the line, "We did it."
Yeah.
There's a guy. No one's going to say you don't have a ring anymore. And he's got more to prove. He's not done.
Yeah,
but he finally has a ring, and you can't hold that against him.
Yeah, not to get, I don't know, overly dramatic, but he had a glow.
Embrace it.
He had a glow on his face. He had the perma grin. And why wouldn't you? I mean, whether it's your first or it's your third, it's becoming an old hat. You're right, because he feels that, and I know he kept talking about, okay, what are they going to say now? What are they going to say now? So there's a little bit of that edge. I wanted, on the flip side of it, though, it's funny because we got into this about Bryson DeChambeau and his image. I got to say, I really enjoyed listening to Kyrie talk after the game last night. I think he's finally found a place that he's normal. And it's weird. He seems like the mature person in the room there, having good perspective of what that season was and what they went through, and giving respect to Boston, but also talking about his teammates. He was just very normal, and he seems very normal there. It's actually kind of nice to see. I don't know what changed for Kyrie other than he's a little older. Maybe he's found a group that it just works for all the things that he was looking for, but
somebody gave him a globe.
I just think, especially in the playoffs, his perspective. Now I think playing in Boston is a real thing. It's 13 straight losses now in the Garden. That's a problem there. But I got to admit, it seemed genuine. I think Kyrie I think he's finally in a really good place right there. That to me was, it's obviously not even in the top 5 of the biggest takeaways from this finals, but just as far as a side note, I actually enjoyed Kyrie's perspective.
It was wholesome.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's different. He's in a better place. But he was in a bad place in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
He was a disappointment to me. He hardly showed up at all. I don't know who that guy was in the jersey compared to the previous rounds.
Mm-hmm.
He deserves to get knocked for that, because he failed at this stage. And I thought something he would do, because I was with you. I thought he was in a good place in the mental space. But man, the worst team that could have faced in the finals with the Boston Celtics, because I thought he'd walk into the Garden and he would be able to mute all those fans. Those fans got in his ear hole, and last night was the culmination of it. And I was really disappointed in that, because I thought he had turned the corner. He failed on the big stage. Now, the Mavericks were not built to beat that Celtics team. The better team won, and the better team probably could have won in 4, but they're very nice people in Boston, according to some. They had a gentleman's sweep. Yeah. But Kyrie on the biggest stage, he failed, and people should hold that against him, because he wasn't very good. Now, Luka has basically carried that franchise for a while. Yeah. And he had his moments, and he had his big moment in game number 3, but they've got to find a way to build that roster, because the thing about Boston could turn into a major run here. Because if you look at the East, I mean, if you're looking at next year, the closest team in terms of odds is the Bucks. But in between the Celtics, who are the favorite to repeat, and the Bucks, there's about 4 Western Conference teams. Mm-hmm. So Dallas is going to have to get better in the offseason, and I don't know that they have a ton of wiggle room. They're going to have to manage Luka and Kyrie being together again to make sure that takes the next step. But also, they're going to have to put that roster together with the whole mindset of, we're putting the roster together to win a 7-game series in June.
And Tatum and Brown, what, a 27-28 respectively?
Well, look at the Celtics. The one thing that helped with the Celtics is they realized early on that Jason Tatum on his own could not carry this franchise.
Right.
They already had Jaylen Brown, nice compliment. Then they said, okay, we can't just have Tatum and Brown. What do we got to go get? So they were able to execute a couple of key trades to get Holiday, Horford was already there. The Porzingis trade was monstrous. I mean, Brad Stevens fleeced a couple of teams to put together a solid Boston Celtics roster. And so they're better equipped with 5 shooters on the floor than what Dallas has. Dallas has maybe 2.5 shooters on a nightly basis. They were able to navigate the West Coast, I keep calling the West Coast, the Western Conference, where, they didn't get exposed. They got exposed in the finals.
Yep. No, it's a good point. And the other part about Dallas, and this is the one thing Windhorst brought up after that really awful game 3 with Luka. Still, who knows? And I don't want to say that this series is different and Boston doesn't win the series, but if Luka is playing in those last 4 minutes as opposed to being on the bench after fouling out, do they win that game? What does that do to the series? Who knows? I'm fascinated to see how Luka takes that whole experience, where it was a lot more amplified as far as the ebbs and flows of his emotions and his style of game when he gets frustrated too. Does he evolve from that is going to be interesting. We're going to talk about
the motivation will be like Brown and Tatum learned from losing in the finals to Golden State a couple of years ago.
Right.
What is the lesson that Luka learns?
Yep. Yeah, 100%. 100%. We're going to talk Brian Christopherson here in a bit. We're coming right back to wrap up hour number 3. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone.
For the second year, the Nebraska Lottery's NASCAR Powerball Playoff promotion has roared into our state, and the excitement is throttling up. Until June 24th, buy a Powerball ticket with Power Play and Double Play. Enter the voucher number, and you could be one of 15 Nebraska winners of $1,000 and the chance to win a VIP trip to the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Weekend, plus a shot at $1 million. Enter today. Powerball top prize odds 1 in 292 million.
Are Nebraska craft beers and ciders important to you? Whether you just love Nebraska brewed beers and ciders or you're a full-fledged craft brewery, there are benefits to membership for anyone with the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild. Their sole mission is to foster and help grow the Nebraska-centric brewing community. Become a member today at nebraska.beer and help advance the craft beer and cider industry in the state of Nebraska. Find out more about the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild at nebraska.beer.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Funplex has asked me to give you a first-hand account of the all-new for 2024 Wipeout attraction.
Okay, hit it.
We're starting up. Spinning a little now. Whoa, a lot.
The centrifugal force is starting to stretch my face.
Holy this thing's fast.
Whoa, it's tilting. We have tilting. Woohoo, this is awesome. You got to try this. Get your tickets now at fun-plex.com.
Is your concrete cracked or uneven? Hey everyone, Coach Greg McDermott here to explain why you should choose EverLevel Concrete Repair. Many people think they need to replace broken concrete, but repairing it provides durable protection and comes at a fraction of the cost. EverLevel provides permanent repair solutions to fix your concrete and protect it against future damage. And it all comes with a long-term transferable warranty. They offer free inspections to walk you through the entire process. Call EverLevel Concrete Repair today.
News Talk 1290 Coil is your radio home for Omaha Storm Chasers baseball, proud AAA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Tune in to hear every pitch, every hit, and every out as the Chasers play at Warner Park and across the International League in 2024. With the voice of the Omaha Storm Chasers, Nick Batters, on News Talk 1290 Coil.
Tune in to 1290 Coil all season long for your Omaha Storm Chasers baseball as they take on the International League. It's Storm Chasers baseball on 1290 Coil.
If you're planning on popping the question this year, now is the time to buy the engagement ring at Greenberg's and receive 20% off a men's or ladies' wedding band during Greenberg's Wedding Band Extravaganza. And you'll be entered to win a free honeymoon with airfare and hotel included. Heck, even if you already have your engagement ring, Greenberg's will still give you 20% off of his or her wedding band and enter you to win the free honeymoon. Greenberg's has a stunning wedding band selection from Love Story, Crown Ring, Benchmark, and M-Fit with 20% off for a very limited time. 20% off wedding bands and potentially a free honeymoon during Greenberg's Wedding Band Extravaganza. Like I said, now is the time to buy that engagement ring and wedding band from Greenberg's Jewelers, a cut above the rest. Westroads Mall. Some restrictions apply.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Put your coffee department in good hands with Host Coffee Service, providing direct delivery and loaned coffee equipment with service programs. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, in fact, we're going to be in just about 5 minutes talking to Brian Christopherson of Husker 24/7 Sports. Getting to a couple of the tweets as well from earlier today. We had a lot of Grimace interaction too. Gary, would you agree with our assessment that the chicken nugget buddies, the nugget buddies, would have been good offensive linemen? If Grimace is going to be a plug in the nose, that the McNugget buddies would have been good offensive linemen based on just their overall shape?
I think that is, I could vibe with that.
Physical, tough.
Now, if we're putting together a football team off the McDonald land characters, we don't have to have Ronald as the quarterback, right?
No,
That's not like his contract.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would assume that, but again, his length, you got to utilize in other areas, don't you? I mean, he is a lengthy individual.
Almost Randy Moss-like.
I don't know. The one thing here, I think Ronald McDonald is relegated to special teams duty only.
Oh,
punter, Legatron.
Well, think about it for a moment. How is he going to be able to play any position with those feet?
Exactly.
That's a
hell of a kicker.
I think of the height, but you're right. When it comes to the feet,
he's the anti-Tom Dempsey.
He might be very uncoordinated.
I mean, we're gonna struggle with some wide receivers because Mayor McCheese and Officer Big Mac, they're like how are they going to catch? Because how are you going to put a ball right there around their big fat head?
Yep.
Yeah. They got to be a wishbone team.
You guys know who the sneaky playmaker is actually the Hamburglar. Just not even his ability. I think the football IQ and his ability to deceit would serve him very well as a playmaker, just getting him the ball. Now, we did say the Fry guys would be really good in space. So they're probably more of like your Wandale Robinson type.
McGuire could work with them.
Yep. You get those guys the ball in space, and they're probably pretty solid. So I think we kind of have a lot of them mapped out.
But Grimace is the focal point. He is where everything flows out from, especially defensively. If you take Grimace out, that defense falls apart like a house.
Yeah, he's the cog of the defense. Yeah.
Grimace is the Ndamukong Suh of this fictional team. Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
And in our poll, 65% say Grimace is a better mascot than the new Herby. And the thing is, I'm surprised it's that low.
Defensive coordinator of our team would be Captain Crook, who was one of the OGs of McDonald Land.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. There's a lot of potential there. It could be good. Now, then would you have some exhibition games, say with the old like Billy Budd and the old Bud Bowl crew too? Because those were always fun too.
Mess with them.
Yeah, actually, that's probably different levels of football we're talking.
Mess with them.
Yeah, that's probably.
I would go with the kids from Dairy Queen.
It's fair. The Burger King Kids Club. They
seem
like a good non-conference.
Yep.
Hey, so I had a craving a while back for an ice cream cone, and I just happened to be near a Dairy Queen. Do you know what I almost got, but I was afraid of the brain freeze?
Oh,
Misty
what are they
Misty.
called? Yeah, Misty. Yeah, Mr. Misty. Oh, those are
great. Mr. Misty. I saw it and I was like, ooh, gosh, could I be 10 years old again and try and drink it as fast as I can because it's so cool to have a brain freeze.
Yep.
Do it on the air.
This is a hot take, maybe it's not, because I think our flavor palates change as we get older. 6, 7, 8-year-old Nick would prefer a Mr. Misty over a Blizzard. I love those things. They were so good.
I never went against ice cream.
Oh, Mr. Misty's. They just, especially on a warm day, man, they just hit. And
Shout out
then we get into the beauty of the ice and the crushed ice, the shaved ice, if you all know. We were talking about Sonic, which, by the way, did you know you can buy the Sonic ice for $2.99?
Yeah.
That's a thing.
It's $2.99 now?
Yeah, it's only, I think $2.99 is a good deal.
I thought it used to be less.
Was it? Well, maybe. I think that's a pretty good deal compared to what it costs to buy regular ice.
It's scrumptious.
It's so good. But
what were they on? There was Scrumpdelicious.
Scrumpdelicious, yeah. Yep, with the dilly bar, which you can still get at Berkshire Hathaway.
Buster Parfait better than the dilly bar. Buster Parfait better than the Dairy Queen banana split.
As long as you don't have a peanut allergy, yes.
No, that's them
problem. Then it would be a problem.
I was not going to include that because
it'd be a problem then.
Yeah.
I just want you to be all inclusive, especially people with peanut allergies would probably push back, but there's still plenty that they can enjoy.
Buster Bar with an Ozempic chaser.
Yeah, whatever happened? Dennis the Menace used to be on every Dairy Queen cup.
Yep. Yeah.
Like
did he get canceled?
I don't know. Why would Dennis the Menace get
canceled?
canceled?
Well, did Dairy Queen just decide that they didn't like his image?
After the movie? After he took down Christopher Lloyd?
I mean, he was a menace. Okay.
He tried to kill Walter Matthau?
Yeah.
Several times.
He was a menace. At some point, they just didn't want to associate themselves with that type of behavior. Well, come on.
He was a bigger menace than Dennis Rodman at the time.
You know when I think it changed is when they started they really started promoting their off ice cream menu, when they really started telling you about their chicken fingers and their hamburgers too. That's when Dennis got phased out. Yeah, I know. Sad times. All right. Not sad times. We talked to Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 Sports. He joins us next. We get an hour 4 here on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time Saving Traffic Center. Looks like the roads are clear on this fine Tuesday morning. No accidents or delays to report. Just be mindful of the College World Series festivities taking place throughout the rest of the day. First pitch is at 1. Be on the lookout for heavy foot traffic around 13th, 10th, and coming. A reminder that 12th Street is closed between Cass and Mike Fahey, and Mike Fahey is still closed between 10th and 13th. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Just be sure to buckle up, drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
Time-saving traffic is brought to you by Omaha Transmission.
You've probably heard about Omaha Transmission saving people money. Call Omaha Transmission and see why people have been recommending them for almost 20 years.
Omaha Transmission, shifting, running smooth.
At Athletico Physical Therapy, our favorite patients are the impatient ones. The ones who don't want to wait 3 months to see a specialist or wait until that little pain becomes a big one. The ones who know that Athletico's therapists can help them take the recovery into their own hands. Our favorite patients are the ones who just can't and won't wait because they don't have to. So get a little impatient and start with physical therapy at Athletico. With no prescription needed in most states to get started, you'll be right back at it in no time. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
If you're planning on popping the question this year, now is the time to buy the engagement ring at Greenberg's and receive 20% off a men's or ladies' wedding band during Greenberg's Wedding Band Extravaganza. And you'll be entered to win a free honeymoon with airfare and hotel included. Heck, even if you already have your engagement ring, Greenberg's will still give you 20% off of his or her wedding band and enter you to win the free honeymoon. Greenberg's has a stunning wedding band selection from Love Story, Crown Ring, Benchmark, and M-Fit with 20% off for a very limited time. 20% off wedding bands and potentially a free honeymoon during Greenberg's Wedding Band Extravaganza. Like I said, now is the time to buy that engagement ring and wedding band from Greenberg's Jewelers, a cut above the rest. Westroads Mall. Some restrictions apply.
For the second year, the Nebraska Lottery's NASCAR Powerball Playoff promotion has roared into our state, and the excitement is throttling up. Until June 24th, buy a Powerball ticket with Power Play and Double Play. Enter the voucher number, and you could be one of 15 Nebraska winners of $1,000 and the chance to win a VIP trip to the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Weekend, plus a shot at $1 million. Enter today. Powerball top prize odds 1 in 292 million.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Hour 4 mornings with Sharp and Handley, 1620 The Zone, and all of our Zone TV viewers. Appreciate you making us part of your morning. Before we get to Brian Christopherson, Gary, when I forgot to mention this to you, we might have stumbled upon something yesterday as we ended the show because we did get a text in the text line at the Omaha Baseball Village show of, Josh, can you and Nick give more of what Gary and Nick did with the Nextdoor app? And so you
guys did get emailed.
I think we did accidentally stumble upon something. Our fearless leader said, I will see your guys' Nextdoor app comments and give you this one. I got to go to it. Oh, yeah, it was neighbors peeing in yard. So that was a comment on the Nextdoor app where our fearless leader, Mark, lives too. I said, yeah, see, those are the ones we need. So I think we're going to have to scan these daily and see if there's anything worth mentioning during the Nextdoor app /Ring app comment segment.
Right. He peed in the yard?
I don't think he did it.
Oh.
He just said he saw a comment. I mean, maybe he did. Maybe he was the suspect.
Well, he should move out of the North Bottoms in Lincoln.
Speaking of Lincoln, perfect transition. I don't know if he's in the North Bottoms right now, but Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 Sports. Good morning, BC. How are you?
I'm good. I'm not in the North Bottoms, but I used to be connected to Nextdoor app with the comments, and I took myself off because there was too much debate constantly about foxes. Foxes are the hottest subject in our neighborhood. If a fox is spotted, there's somebody who's on high alert. And then there's a lot of people who come as the defense attorneys of the foxes. And I would be on that side, but it just got overkill. So I took myself off.
Okay. So
conservatives and their foxes.
So Gary was getting a lot of, you had a lot of things going on with, I'm trying to remember what yours was. I had one where the SWAT team was called. Man, apparently
you grew up where I did.
Apparently, Mark lives in the coolest place. He just sent me another one. It said, "Unclothed man outside my door. The man later jumped out at me naked and ran down the fire escape." Didn't get a look at his, and then it ends. Didn't
get a number.
Didn't get. Yeah. Call me.
Can you sell something?
Yeah. So yeah, those are fun. Those are a good time. BC, are you taking any of the college baseball right now, or is it are you just now zeroing in on the silly season of college football?
I'm taking it in from a distance. I haven't been there like you guys loyally on the scene, but I appreciate your guys' coverage. But it's been good I've enjoyed it from afar. It's kind of pulled me back in the last few years. I know this is a really old subject to some people, but I had a hard time letting go of Rosenblatt for a long time. I was in that crowd, who would always bring up the old days. And I feel like in the last few years, some of it's just been the quality of the tournament. There's been I thought last year was a great tournament, and it's kind of pulled me out of that funk and okay, you got to move on with life. Enough with the nostalgia part. For me, my Inside Out 2 nostalgia guy gets a hold of me quite a bit with that stuff. So I've moved on, and I'm enjoying the action, and it's passionate fan bases.
It was very busy, by the way, on Father's Day. A lot of people harking back to the first time they went to a College World Series, and either they are Omahans or they keep coming to the series. So I heard that it was packed. The old Rosenblatt, the mini Blatt was packed on Father's Day. We'll get it. I before I ask you a question about recruiting, I want to talk about the current roster. Earlier in the show, Nick and I we got into a discussion about the offensive line, and I want you to power rank. So I think, and if I'm off here, please correct me. I think they feel confident enough in 10 guys to play 5 spots. Now, Justin Jenkins is a guy that can play guard and center. He start at guard, be back up at center. But I think they have 10 guys that they trust for those 5 spots. Tackle, guard, center, power rank who you are the most confident, what position group you're the most confident in to the least confident as they go into this season.
Center 1, tackle 2, guard 3.
So least confident in guard.
Yeah, it's not like a real knock on them. It's just one to me is obvious because Ben Scott, just how much experience he has, and I think he's developed into a really solid center, and that's not something to be taken for granted when you have a player with that type of experience, because for a long time Nebraska sort of searched for that anchor there, and for the first time in a while it feels like, okay, they've got this veteran guy you feel solid about, and you also can see the future right at the position. I mean, in the past it's sort of been we know this guy's stepping into it this year, but who the heck's going to do it a year or two from now? And you were always kind of wondering if, this guy would slide over, what would happen there. And there are some good names on the table, including Jake Peters, who just arrived. The guy, I think they might work some at center. Obviously, as you mentioned, Justin Evans can do it. Sam Sledge. I mean, they've got these guys. He's okay, I see the picture. So I like that. That's why I put center 1 though with Scott. Tackle, I mean, the progress Benhardt made last year, and now I think you're kind of counting on Teddy taking that next step with a full off season behind him. But Benhardt in particular, I think probably bolsters that to the second ranking among those 3. And then the third spot, I think Evans had a good camp. Latofsky did. Mazuka, you feel I don't know where that ended up with as far as I know he started the spring, and it's he's got to kind of pull together a little bit and figure out how we do things around here, but he has a lot of snaps under his belt. So they've got 3 or 4 options there that make you think they can get it done. Just less experience would be why I'd put them third.
You mentioned Benhardt. Are we in the trust tree in 2024 with Benhardt? Is there another level, or what we got from him last year is fine, and that 1 year we're confident that that's the Bryce Benhardt you're getting?
I'm sure there's another level, and I'm sure he believes that. But I mean, last year was a huge step for him because you guys probably saw it. Bryce was one of those guys who was probably one of the most picked on players on the roster as far as when things weren't going well, name your 3 or 4 guys who sort of get targeted. And he took a brunt of that criticism, I thought, for a while. He had some games that were a little off, and, it kind of matched up with what people were saying. But I think last offseason, the thing that made his story, I think, so encouraging to Husker fans was his was like an off-season story that you were hearing about, and people were probably like, yeah, okay, this guy's changed his body, blah, blah, blah. And then you actually saw when it got to the fall how that change of his body and like the work that Corey Campbell and, you know, Kristen Coggan and Mitch do over there with the guys paid off as far as his football. I mean, it really was a catapult for him. And I think that probably he's like the case study example for people of like, for the new, you know, they're not new anymore, but the S&C department, like, yeah, that's pretty good. Like how that looked. Give us more of that with Teddy and some of these guys coming up, and things can look pretty good for in the trenches as a whole. So Bryce was encouraging not just for his play and the step he took there, but also I think what it meant to like the off-season workouts and like how that leads into the season. I think people like that.
So if we go, this was a good run blocking group last year. They had a different quarterback style that they were blocking for. Now you have a guy that Raiola's not going to take off and run. He's going to stay in the pocket, and I think has a better sense of the clock in his head of when to get rid of the football, just judging off some of the things he did during spring when he was under pressure, did not hold on to the ball. And you know how that can affect the offensive line. So if they were good in run blocking, but now they will have a big passing threat back there, what at the end of the day will judge success of this offensive line? Because, you know, when we wrapped up 23 and tried to make a determination about how good this offensive line was, there were the rushing numbers, but then there were the sacks. There weren't as many penalties as the past or false starts. You know, it was, we kind of fought back and forth for a couple of months after the season on how good the 23 offensive line was. When you look at 24 and judging how good they are at the end of the year, you will go to what to make a determination on a group that I believe BC will have what, 4 or 5 guys that have 4 or more years of starting experience in college football.
Yeah. A top category I would go back to is that quote Matt Rule had last offseason about how many yards they wanted in the fourth quarter. And what was the number? It was 75. They wanted to be that group that you're grinding on them, and then boom, you break their back there in the fourth quarter with that first or second drive. You lean on them, you have that 8 or 10 play drive. It's just, you know, the runs that were maybe tough early on in a Big Ten game for 2 or 3 are now 5 or 6, and the clock's moving, and you're taking the air out of the ball, and you know, and then maybe you slip in a pass with young Dylan over the top to put it away. That sort of thing. Like, I think we saw glimpses last year of that. And even in the opener, like you saw, okay, I see the style that they're working toward, like against Minnesota. Remember that game? Like, people don't want to, but they were actually doing what Rule had talked about all August in the fourth quarter prior to the fumble. Like, they were heading toward that like 75 yards plus, and you lock up the win type of game. And I think so I use that one just because it's a example you can point to of like almost there. You see where it can be close, but now let's take the step. Let's finish it off. Obviously, ball security is a big part of that. That got in the way in that one. But that's one statistic. And I think you brought up a good point as far as it's going to be different with pass pro, with a quarterback like Raiola and some of these guys who, you know, are maybe a little bit more pocket presence savvy. And as much as it can be fun sometimes to have guys who can run around and create stuff out of the dirt, sometimes I think that's also very difficult for linemen, you know, because you don't know exactly where that guy's going to go or how that play is going to evolve. Like, because it is sort of drawn up as you go. So I think there might be a little bit more, you know, understanding of how each play is going to evolve with the quarterbacks they have that could help the O-line in that way. But we'll see. They did, from what we heard, they had a really encouraging spring with the pass pro, it seemed like, and guys were doing well. Now, the other part of that, you got to have your backs on that. You know, you've got to have some running backs who do their work. And, you know, that's the thing about like young Emmett Johnson. You know, he was a guy who I think did pretty well at picking some of those nuances up, and it's maybe held some other guys back a little bit. And so if he can take a step, and some of those backs too, that's going to be a big deal.
Talking to Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 Sports. Malcolm Simpson, the most recent commit. It was a big weekend. June, as we know, is a huge month for Nebraska. Your take on Malcolm Simpson and just Nebraska pushing forward here in the month of June when it does come to that all-important recruiting month?
Definitely a 4-star talent. For whatever reasons here and there, some schools off the track with him. Nebraska stayed on it, believed in him. He's believing in Nebraska. It's one of those type of stories. I always think those are pretty good, usually coming in for the recruit when there is that, when a recruit has, in particular, feels like this school was really loyal to me when I saw some others who weren't. I would say that usually comes with a high percentage of success. It feels like to me, like those guys come in sort of like, I got to do right by these guys. And there is that extra layer to it that's nice. So I like that part of it. It's a great way to get this little run started. I think it's going to continue, obviously, through the next 2, 3, 4 weeks where you're going to see most of this class filled in. They've spoken about it being that way. It sounded like they got a lot done with some other guys. There's some tough recruiting fights they have. You got to win a battle for like Christian Jones and stuff. I still feel they can, but Dawson Merritt's obviously that big fish that's out there. I think Nebraska's in a good spot with a lot of guys, and now it's, maybe some of them are 50-50 or 55-45 or whatever on the percentages, but Nebraska's right there in the hunt where you need to be here. And what has basically become, to me, like December. I mean, June is like December now, where it feels like there is a little bit of urgency. There is a little bit of like, close it down now. Recruits want to close it down in the summer, and the coaches want to have most of their class done. So it makes it a really interesting.
I think we lost BC.
BC, you still with us? Yep. Okay. We will. I might try to reconnect here with him. Jimmy's not in here right now, too. So we will reconnect with him. But yeah, I think kind of getting back to the offensive line. Yeah, Jimmy, we lost BC. If you could reconnect with him. When we're talking a little bit about the offensive line part of it, Brian's right. He became the sort of the whipping boy when it came to the conversations in previous years. I am curious to see Bryce Benhardt, which was just a solid presence last year, if there's what that next step could look like for Bryce Benhardt this year, which is obviously a big year for him, especially when it comes to playing at the next level in the NFL. As a guy that Matt Rule has said continuously that this is an NFL guy. He saw a glimpse of that. His size would indicate as such that he will give you that type of jump in this next season. We don't have Brian yet. We're efforting it.
Well, and so, Benhardt has been a staple, and once he got his body right, his game changed. Yeah. He's an NFL guy. I mean, he's a guy that should get drafted next April. When they're in Green Bay, they should be announcing at some point in the draft that Bryce Benhardt is being drafted. And before the year is over, I mean, look at the guy is going to set the all-time mark for starts. Now he's got the extra year, but there's a reason he came back. I mean, it's a relief to Nebraska that you can have right tackle locked down. Mm-hmm. I think he'll be an NFL guy. I mean, I think this offensive line is in a good spot. I think they have 10 guys for the 5 spots across the board. They have some wild cards. I mean, Turner Corcoran didn't participate in spring because of the injury. What's gonna happen with him and where he fits in? Is he going to be able to step in and win a guard spot? Right. That the guard spot is fascinating to me in the fall because they like Justin Evans. He is proven that he can play one of the guard spots. You don't have to worry about your tackles or your center. So you just have to figure out who's going to win the battles at guard. So you have Evans and Mazuka, and then you probably have Lutovsky. No, I'll go. So Evans, Mazuka, Sledge, and then Corcoran, Lutovsky,
right,
Mazuka. Okay, so that's your group to decide who are going to be your 2 guard spots. If Nebraska kicked off today against UTEP, and they're playing a veteran offensive line, how would you feel if Teddy is healthy, his body looks great, his mind is even better? He's at left tackle. Justin Evans is at left guard. Ben Scott is starting at center. Micah Mazuka is at right guard, and Bryce Benhardt is at right tackle. How would you feel about that starting five across the offensive line?
I feel great. It's ideal. And you bring up somebody in Turner Corcoran that this would be the year that you feel he would actually have a chance to rotate into what most would consider his natural position on the interior, as opposed to playing at the tackle position. Because much like we got on Bryce Benhardt about a lot of that, we also, last year with Turner Corcoran, there was always the caveat of, but he's playing out of position. He's more equipped to play on the interior and play at the guard position. You would have that luxury being able to rotate him in. But what you laid out right there, there's great experience there. If you can tell me that Teddy Prohaska, and that's the big part of it too, if Teddy Prohaska, both physically, mentally, is right where you want him to be, I think it's okay to get a little excited about that. I think it's okay to look at that offensive line and say, well, if maybe better yet, if not now, when? If it's not going to pop, if that offensive line isn't going to pop too, at least the results in Nebraska needs it to where it's both reliable in the passing and the running game, and you're able to get the downhill running attack like you want to establish, but also be able to support a young quarterback that can chuck it, give him time. That's a big part of this. That is absolutely a huge part of this. And that line with the reinforcements behind it. And that's the other thing, Gary. I brought this up not that long ago, and I don't know why it stuck with me, with Mike Cavanaugh. When he was asked the question about rotating offensive linemen, and he was honest and he was blunt about it. And he said, I would love to rotate in, but we simply can't. And it wasn't due to injury. It was because of the drop-off between their frontline guys and their twos. This may be the first time in a while that you have seen that depth created with the offensive line. It's hard for me not to think about it. And obviously you're not going to rotate as much as what you see on the defensive line, but it's hard for me not to think about how they were able to maximize all of those bodies on the defensive line, where it's not necessarily even quantity, but it's quality. Yes, you want your core guys in there and you want them in the majority of the reps because that's how you're going to get in a rhythm offensively. But to be able to, whether it's injury or just to give a guy a blow here and there and not miss a beat, when's the last time we could say that about this offensive line? I'm not saying it's there, but it's potentially there.
Yeah, it's an important year for all the offensive line. Like Donnie Raiola is in a good spot. He's the lone holdover. I think we're past, why did they keep him? Because we're seeing his recruiting chops.
Yep.
And Rule loves him. I mean, they hit it off. You hear those two talking offensive line play and terminology, and you think you have a front row seat. It's football porn is what it is. But here's the next step with the evolution of Nebraska's offensive line, because essentially they have 15 scholarship or NIL scholarship guys on their roster this year that are offensive linemen. And they have made a concerted effort in the last couple of years to recruit offensive linemen to continue to replenish that room, because they are a little bit top heavy. They have a lot of older guys that are using their extra year, that have played a lot of football, that their eligibility is about to come to an end. So this is also the year for those guys to stay healthy and develop a core 10, but also a year where the Gatulas and the Brixes and the Piles and the Knutsons and Jason from North Dakota, who I always butcher his last name, and Sam Sledge, who I think is in the mix for one of the guard spots, for those guys to develop and take the next step so that they can create this quote unquote pipeline where one guy is out of eligibility or moves on to the NFL and the next guy comes right up. I really like how they're recruiting offensive linemen. I mean, they have a plan. They have a body type that they're looking for. Yep. They're not persuaded by, well, this is what we want at guard, but he doesn't fit. If the guy can play, the guy can play. And they're willing to pull the trigger on a scholarship offer. So I think offensive line, they're in a good spot. But they will also be in a better spot because they'll have a different type of quarterback. They will have a quarterback that will not put guys out on an island.
Yep, totally. And the other part you bring up about some of the younger guys in that important year, I'm with you. I think we've looked at the way Matt Rule treats and evaluates his coaches and the guys that he wants close to him, that you give him the vote of confidence when it comes to Donovan Raiola. When it comes to the true developing, and remember, I mean, people forget Donovan Raiola is getting back into the college game when he joined that staff initially with Scott Frost. Before that, when he was working with Harry Higstand and he was with the Chicago Bears, he was more on the assistant level. The college game, and being able to not only develop but to recruit, that whole part of it, there was still maybe more of a novice approach to it. This is that year that I think, based on what we're hearing behind the scenes on how he's developing, that people are getting the results and they like what they're seeing. Obviously, that's got to show up on Saturdays. I think this is a huge year for Donovan Raiola to kind of showcase that as well. To your point about those younger guys, the Gatulas, the Bricks, the Sam Sledge, and a lot of those players that we expect to be a big part of this offensive line here years to come. I think that's going to bode. I think it will. I'm optimistic. I think it's going to bode very well for Donovan Raiola, but I also think this is going to be that year that you really do have a chance to see that type of development. That's what's taking place at the line of scrimmage.
Yep. Nebraska, by the way, is not Nebraska, but Jeff Goodman has announced the Pentagon game.
Ooh.
Nebraska and St. Mary's on the 17th of November.
Oh,
I'm back at the Pentagon.
Look at that.
Go crazy. That is a Sunday? Or is it a Monday? Or not a Monday, a Saturday.
Last year was a Saturday, right? Because wasn't it the same day as a football game?
I believe this is a Sunday.
Is this one a Sunday?
17th is a Sunday.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Okay.
Good. As long as it avoids a Bears game.
The Bears might have to avoid a Bears game.
They'll be out of it by then anyway, but that's okay. I'm excited to be rocking my new Caleb Williams shirt coming up here too. It's not a jersey. Don't worry about that. Don't worry. We had some phone issues, so we do apologize. Apparently,
they're dead.
Oh, cool. Even better. So
it's issue.
So if you're trying to call us right now, too, just use the
baseball
Construction
village
Zone
and you
Twitter
can see
feed,
your favorite zone personalities there,
or the Equitable Bank inbox, so which works too. I'm going to step aside. We're going to come right back before we get out of here. Yes, the news there with Nebraska basketball. All right, St. Mary's. Let's go. There we go. We'll get back to some more of a little of the Nebraska football talk here as we continue and wrap things up here on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Funplex Water Park and Rides from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Tuesday is a severe weather day with potential strong to severe storms impacting the metro mainly after 5 p.m. Large hail damage and wind gusts are the main threats with any stronger storms. Flash flooding potential as well as heavy rain chances will stick around into the nighttime hours. Otherwise, expect a warm, humid, and windy day. South winds gusting up to 35 miles per hour with highs around 90. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Funplex asked an AI assistant where you find ultimate summer fun. And,
Funplex. Nebraska's largest water park and rides, now with the brand new spinning, tilting Wipeout. Tasty treats, special events, private cabanas, and more. Probability of unforgettable fun, 100%. Funplex is the best choice for an all-in-one day of summer excitement.
So, see you at Funplex then?
I am a language model.
Yeah, fair enough. Get your human tickets at fun-plex.com. Let's go!
I'm Dave Osted. And I'm Ryan Osted. Every golfer will get value from being custom fit. The truth is, the higher handicappers will get more value from being custom fit than the low handicappers.
It's changed so much since my dad started the business in 1963. We now have hundreds of thousands of dollars in technology, and we know exactly what the spin rate is, what the launch angle is. We encourage you to bring your current clubs in now, and we can compare it. And guys walk out of the store knowing that the purchase they just made is going to give them 21 more yards off the tee box. Play better, have fun, and shop Osted's.
News Talk 1290 Coil is your radio home for Omaha Storm Chasers baseball, proud AAA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Tune in to hear every pitch, every hit, and every out as the Chasers play at Warner Park and across the International League in 2024. With the voice of the Omaha Storm Chasers, Nick Batters, on News Talk 1290 Coil.
Tune in at 1290 Coil all season long for your Omaha Storm Chasers baseball as they take on the International League. It's Storm Chasers baseball on 1290 Coil.
The Pinnacle Bank Championship presented by Woodhouse is back. And you don't want to miss a second of Omaha's biggest golf tournament of the year. Join us August 5th through the 11th to catch the action as players battle their way towards the PGA Tour. Plus, enjoy events like RSM Youth Day, the Patriot Outpost, and the Live and Loud Concert Series. Secure your tickets today at thepinnaclebankchampionship.com/tickets.
Hey Omaha families, there is such a thing as a free lunch. The Salvation Army's Kids Cruisin' Kitchen is our mobile summer meals program, where our food trucks roll out to locations around town to offer free lunches to kids up to 18 years of age. Kids Cruisin' Kitchen operates weekdays, with the exception of holidays, throughout the summer. Again, this program serves free meals to kids at various locations around Omaha. Meals must be eaten on site. Find out where you can get free lunches for your kids this summer. Just go to salarmyomaha.org. That's salarmyomaha.org.
That's the sound of steak searing in its juices on your new pellet grill. You heard that right. The Weber Searwood Pellet Grill can smoke low and slow at 180 degrees all the way to a high heat sear at 600. With the Weber Searwood, you can cook on the direct flame over the full grade sear zone. You'll hear the gasp of amazement from friends and family when you serve the food. Cooking with the Weber Searwood Pellet Grill just sounds delicious and tastes even better.
The Nebraska Lottery presents 5 reasons the dollar bill is so great. First, it's always there when you need it. You can always find one folded up in your pocket just waiting to get you out of a jam. Second, it's humble. It doesn't strut around like a 50 or 100 waiting for people to compliment it. Third, it works hard. Whether you need more money for a tip or extra detergent at the laundromat, a dollar bill sure comes in handy. Fourth, it beats lugging around 100 pennies. And fifth, you can use it to buy a Lotto America ticket from the Nebraska Lottery. Lotto America only costs $1. It has a $2 million starting jackpot with drawings every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And you can add the All-Star bonus for an additional $1 to multiply any prize won. So visit a Nebraska Lottery retailer today and buy a Lotto America ticket. Sounds like someone tried to pay with 100 pennies. So sad.
Lotto America top prize odds 1 in 26 million.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Omaha Baseball Village coverage begins at 10 o'clock. Connor Happer, myself will be down there. And then we've got Florida State at UNC at 1 o'clock. It'll be John Bishop, Mike Farron, and Gary Sharp. And then
Bishop
more
says
Baseball
one game
Village. And then the 6 o'clock game. A 6 o'clock game. That will happen.
He tweeted one game today. I don't know if that's smart.
No, don't do that. Kentucky, Florida. That'll be happening as well. All right here on your home for College World Series 1620, The Zone. Gary, I'd take the L on this one because it was yesterday as we were showering Adrian Martinez with a lot of praise. And
the same thing I did.
What's that?
He made the same face I did.
Oh,
You said, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. No,
I'm grabbing my roadmap to see where we're going here.
I'm telling you. Maybe it was the championship that was less talked about here in the arena that used to be referred to as the Ralston Arena. Liberty Credit First. Is that right? Did I say that right?
I believe that's what it has been renamed to.
Okay, good. The Omaha Beef capped a 9-0 season led by former Husker quarterback Tommy Armstrong for back-to-back titles. It is a good thing to be a former quarterback for the University of Nebraska when it comes to winning titles right now. They are on a heater right now. Tommy Armstrong.
Tommy hardly ever gets touched. Every time I have watched the Beef or see highlights because of his legs, he just, if he has to pull it down and take off, no one ever touches him. I think Tommy Armstrong could dominate that league as long as he wants to play in it.
He's still coaching high school, isn't he?
I believe he is still at Lincoln North Star.
Okay.
Last season he was.
So the Tommy Armstrong, now Adrian Martinez as well. You've got 2 titles in the matter. Actually 3 titles amongst the 2 of them.
Combine the celebration of
you got back-to-back for Tommy Armstrong, and you got the latest, the newest member of the championship fraternity with Nebraska quarterbacks in Adrian Martinez. Who's next?
Mm-hmm.
Will we get maybe a Chubba Purdy down the road? Will we get I don't know. What's Tristan Jebb? Well, I guess he never took an official snap for Nebraska. What about Patrick O'Brien? What's Patrick O'Brien doing these days?
Not Ken O'Brien.
Yeah, the difference is let me address this, Nick. The difference is the 2 that you are mentioning have a good Q rating around here, and they are making their life in Nebraska. 2 guys, one from Georgia and one from California, so it might be a little bit different. I think we've kind of lost track of Tristan because he might be on his 9th or 12th year of college.
Yep.
POB.
Yep.
Johnny Stanton even.
Oh, the fullback that never was here. And Johnny Stanton. Johnny Stanton is huge, by the way. How did he not? I know he was, he was going to be a quarterback here, but usually with the strength and conditioning, those guys, just when you go through college, even if you're a quarterback, a kicker, you put on some mass. The way that he reshaped his body to play a little fullback there in the league too, man, that was impressive. Johnny Stanton wouldn't be doing it as a quarterback; he would be doing it as a running back. But
I would Johnny Stanton enjoyed being a quarterback at Nebraska. Johnny Stanton got after it.
Did he?
Oh, yeah. Johnny Stanton he liked to have a good time, and being a quarterback at Nebraska was perfect for him to have a good time. I've been told that he has grown up a bit, but remember, he was the guy that would, show up at sporting events and he'd put a horse head on.
That was him. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Johnny was well known in Lincoln. He had a good time when he was the quarterback at Nebraska.
The horse. Good pull. I forgot all about that.
He would wear that to parties, by the way.
Oh,
as he should. Conversation
That's what you always do. Hey, Johnny's here. This is great. All right. So, okay, you're back. You're on the field today. Did you discuss this with Connor about the Ferris wheel? Because they report.
So did he go up in the Ferris wheel?
Well, I don't know 100% if he was. I mean, he was seated in there with Prudon, and there's photographic evidence of that.
Like together, they were sitting up there.
So they did. So they did not go up.
They
did not go up in the Ferris wheel.
They just posed in
Mark Wahlberg
in one of the carriages. That's all. They didn't actually go up there.
Yeah, because don't you think if you were going to get into the Ferris wheel, it'd be pretty cool that when you were up that high and you were closer to the stadium, you'd take a picture? Didn't see a picture.
True. That's true. If there is no photograph of it, it didn't happen. Because I know this was something that you were hell bent on doing. Now, I would highly recommend you don't do that.
I like Ferris wheels.
I don't hate them. So this was the other thing, and I'll ask Connor about this because he was.
I'll sit in there and ride in the Ferris wheel with strangers.
I bet you would. You would, wouldn't you?
Shout out Shields.
Oh, you totally would. Have you ever gone to Shields and done that?
Every time I've been to Shields, the Ferris wheel doesn't work.
That's true.
I think it's a non-working Ferris wheel at Shields. I think it's just there for show. And then people go, "Oh man, I'd ride it if it wasn't broken." And they're like, "Oh, come back next time."
Yeah.
And then you come back and you buy something, and you're like, "Oh, well, we haven't been able to get to it yet, or it's we don't have the operator here." It's state fair season, so he's touring the Midwest.
You know what?
That's true.
Now that I think of it, I don't think I've ever seen that thing working.
It's just for show. I've never been in a Shields that it has been working, that actual people are on it. And that's okay.
What a great ruse there.
That's what life is, Nick.
Just one big ruse.
So you mentioned my Nextdoor app.
Yep, sure did.
We have a new entry.
Yep. What do we got?
One, this just popped in, a picture of someone's cat. Is this someone's cat? Let me know. I'll try and check off in the next few days.
Yeah.
So apparently they've taken in this black and white cat. If you are in this part of the city, you're missing a black and white cat. It looks like TK has it. Okay. So this is an entry from, it appears to be yesterday afternoon on my Nextdoor app.
Okay.
How long of a break do city employees get? There are 2 city trucks, 1 dump truck, pulling an air compressor and a pickup with a message board behind it. 3 employees in all. They have been parked there now for over an hour. The only activity is one gets out and stretches and smokes a cigarette.
I love that they're just mapping their every move, and they've probably been observing them for easily over an hour.
I am going. Can you check to see the history of somebody posting on Nextdoor? Like, what are their past posts?
Yeah, and on Reddit
on previous posts. Let me see. So I'm looking at my Ring one right now. It might be different on Nextdoor app. On Ring, I can't, but there's got to be a way, because then you could get the history of what they post about.
Yeah, because I'm
like city maintenance type
I'm
stuff.
gonna guess this is not the first time they have posted on the Nextdoor app.
No. Isn't that the beauty of these things is you feel like you have an audience. You feel like people are actually, okay. I'm going to be heard this time.
6 to 10 every weekday.
I did get one that was interesting last night. It's a video of, and I can't even tell what the poster's saying, but it is a video of two kids in their bicycle. They're pulling it what looks like to be the side of the house, not necessarily in the garage. But the poster says, "I get it's summer, but if these are your kids, please talk to them about walking through people's yards and climbing on walls." I don't see any wall climbing. Looks as though at least one of the kids was climbing the wall. I'd hate for them to slip and fall. Yeah, I don't think that's why they're posting it. I think they're just annoyed that they're going through their yard right now. But
Iowa JD shared this yesterday on his Ring notifications.
Okay.
This is from somebody. He lives in the Omaha metro area. I found a cute little puppy. I found a puppy with a pink collar.
Okay. The Ring ones, this is why they don't hold a candle to the Nextdoor app. They're all about lost dogs and cats. 80% of my feed is, cute dogs, cute cats. Nothing is about like the debauchery that takes place, like as you mentioned, the North Bottoms or in certain parts of Omaha. I need more of that. Every now and then I get excited about one. Like I said, I'll tell you, the adrenaline was pumping when I got the SWAT team one. SWAT team out on 144th Maple. Anybody know what's going on? And then all the comments were kind of random. Oh yeah, someone was serving a warrant. Oh yeah, they were just doing a knock and then they left. Like the whole SWAT team? They just showed up and he's not here. All right, call it off. Like, I don't know. It seemed like a lot of resources for just a warrant being issued, but I don't know.
Hello all. Does anyone know of any cat sanctuaries in or near Omaha that could take a family of cats? They're outside my house. I would have to go round them up, but I'd also hate to see them locked in a box at the Humane Society. Any suggestions would help. Thank you.
Bring them to the station. We'll take them.
You taking them home?
No, I'm not taking them. I'm just going to leave them at the station.
Someone will take them.
Like
by the
Fred's
way,
gift that he sent us.
Pat in the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed says, Shields Ferris wheel has worked for my two kids the last two times I went. But yeah, it's okay. I can't say that word. It is blank. Down sometimes sounds like you need to be at Shields more. Nate Bargatze loves it. Okay. I don't get the Nate Bargatze reference, but
the comedian who's will be here in Omaha in a week, 2 weeks.
Does he have a bit about the Shields Ferris wheel?
I think he does.
Oh, okay. I saw him when he was here back in the fall. I didn't hear that one.
Jim, thanks for the submission about the Nextdoor app, but it is about bunnies and dead bunnies, so I don't think we need to read that.
Yeah. Yeah, these are great. These are great.
We went to a petting zoo and these two guys came out with bunnies on their face.
Summer school. Good reference. All right. Okay, we're going to close.
That's what I was watching while you were doing OBV the other day.
I know. That's a great one. Poor fishy.
Can't wait to see what happens on Price is Right here in about an hour.
Oh, thank God we're going to turn things over to the Omaha baseball. But the unfortunate thing is I'm going to be joining Connor too. So you get more of this. We're back after this to wrap things up. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley, 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley.
Host is roasting every day.
Since 1972, family-owned and locally roasted Host Coffee Service has been roasting the finest coffee for businesses and restaurants. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Introducing Modern Real Estate, the game changer in Nebraska's property market. With a competitive 2% commission rate, we're making buying, selling, and investing more affordable and transparent than ever. Our experienced agents blend local expertise with cutting-edge technology to provide top-notch personalized service to all clients. Don't settle for less when you can save big without compromising. Visit modernrealestateco.com and experience the future of real estate today. Modern Real Estate, redefining the way you do real estate.
At Athletico Physical Therapy, our favorite patients are the impatient ones, the ones who don't want to wait 3 months to see a specialist or wait until that little pain becomes a big one, the ones who know that Athletico's therapists can help them take the recovery into their own hands. Our favorite patients are the ones who just can't and won't wait because they don't have to. So get a little impatient and start with physical therapy at Athletico. With no prescription needed in most states to get started, you'll be right back at it in no time. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com.
The light is fading, your hands are sore, and the last tool's been put away. Now is the time to feel the satisfaction that comes with a job well done. But when you get your tools from Harbor Freight, something about the job feels a little different. Your wallet. Because we believe that everyone deserves hardworking tools at hardworking prices. And that's what we have here. So, whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Stop by Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off Super Paint products and Super Deck stains from June 14th through the 24th. It's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
A Nebraska craft beers and ciders important to you? Whether you just love Nebraska brewed beers and ciders or you're a full-fledged craft brewery, there are benefits to membership for anyone with the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild. Their sole mission is to foster and help grow the Nebraska-centric brewing community. Become a member today at nebraska.beer and help advance the craft beer and cider industry in the state of Nebraska. Find out more about the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild at nebraska.beer.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
I absolutely love the Pandora's box we've opened with the Nextdoor app conversation. Jim on the stream says Nextdoor yesterday, some lady was complaining about the Offutt plane flying over West Omaha. She thought it was an airline and wanted to call and complain. Yeah, that's what you get.
Let's just hope that this is not our listening audience.
No.
This person PS on my Nextdoor app, they found a turtle. It was actually around 86th and Harrison. So if you lost your turtle, let me know.
They've got it.
All right. Like, that's one of those animals. I get it. Like a dog or a cat might get away from you. Yeah, but how does a turtle go rogue and make a run for it, and you're not, like, you don't realize that the turtle is gone? And how long did it take for the turtle to get outside of the house and out in the open where it could be found?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions about people who own a turtle to begin with.
How strong was that edible to let the turtle get away?
Yeah, that says more about you being a very, very irresponsible pet owner, because a lot of time would have to elapse before you actually lost sight of the turtle. They're not known to be very nimble creatures, but hey, maybe they found a supercharged turtle.
Gets a job at Shields.
And a Ferris wheel that doesn't work. So we do have college baseball today. We are monitoring the weather. Again, if you are from out of town, we are in Douglas County. It's a good reminder.
There's a dome that protects us.
Sometimes, but there, as Gary mentioned earlier, there are cracks in that dome. So we do have 2 games on the schedule, starting at 1 o'clock, the elimination games, Florida State, UNC, and then at 6 o'clock, Kentucky and Florida. We will be keeping you up to date at the Omaha Baseball Village on any type of weather delays. It sounds, Gary, though, we're going to get the 1 o'clock game in, although
we will play baseball at 1 o'clock and we will complete the game.
Yeah.
It is very cloudy out right now. So that actually might be pleasant if you're a little, done with the heat right now.
Bare skin.
Has anybody been outside lately? Is it warming up? Are we good? It's gonna be okay.
It's actually cool.
Radio. Actually.
Okay, good. I like that.
The weather's not bad.
It's nice.
No. It actually, other than the wind and the way that it's played in the actual games itself, it's been worse. I mean, it's been hotter. I'm not going to sit there and be like, this is the worst it's ever been.
Well, have you guys seen the weather forecast for tomorrow?
Yeah. It's chilly. I hope we play.
Hoodies.
It's going to be in the 70s.
Yeah, it's going to be in the 70s.
Yeah.
It'd be June 19th in Omaha, Nebraska, the College World Series, and the high may be lucky to get to 70.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
This is good for you at home, Nick.
There better be baseball played. Yeah. Gary, by the way, the AC still doesn't work in my house. So.
Ooh.
That's been happening.
Well, you should go. You know what? Why don't you go on the Nextdoor app and tell everybody you're looking for a good AC repair person?
And as I mentioned before, the comments, usually 7 out of 10 of them are helpful. The other 3 are usually mocking you.
So that's 300. That's pretty good.
We can get a good mocking. Gary, have a good call on the games, and hopefully you're not hanging around way too much at the stadium tonight. Hopefully we get some clarity on what is happening, but we'll see you out there, man.
We want more baseball.
Yeah, yes, we do. For Jimmy, for Gary, I'm Nick. Omaha Baseball Village coverage begins at 10. It'll be myself and Connor with you throughout the day. We will talk to you again tomorrow.